Well, good morning all, welcome along to the Old Classic Car channel. Today it is Friday the 20th of March. I'm down at the NEC for the huge Practical Classics Classic Car and Restoration Show. Several halls packed with barn finds, classic cars, restoration projects, cars being worked on, and lots of memorabilia and auto jumble. It's going to be a busy one. We're slightly early today, so it's still pretty quiet, but it is going to get much busier. So I think now is probably an excellent time to start having a look around some of the barn find display here. And just nestled over here is an example of the Porsche 924. This one from the early 1980s, 1984 to be precise. Bit of info on this one, as with all the cars in the barn find display, particularly dusty. So there we go, bit of the background history there. If you want to pause the video, and I'm conscious that some of my previous videos of classic car shows here at the NEC are quite long, so I'm going to try and just make this one a little bit briefer. How that plan will go, well, who knows, but let's have a look at some of the cars here. This is a 1936 Morris 10-4, I believe, discovered in a barn in mid Wales. This is 1936. You can tell it's one of the pre-war cars because these spoked wheels. The Series 2 cars had, well, they went to the easy clean wheels, and later they went to the painted radiator surrounds, but this is a fairly early example of this era of Morris 10-4, and it's the sort of car that is right up my street. I once dragged a coupe version of one of these out of a garage down in Milton Keynes. But this is a very original saloon, a four-door saloon. The sliding opening roof looks like it'll probably want a little bit of TLC, but it looks super duper original in there. Fair bit of work. It's a little bit, well, you could probably get away with oily ragging it, but you'd probably have to do something with the interior. But on the face of it, it doesn't look too bad. These are the drains for the sunroof. And in fact, while we're in this area, the gutters, these often rot out on poorly stored pre-war saloons like this, but this one, apart from a little bit of surfacey stuff, doesn't look too bad at all, really. And I love the proper old number plates on there with the separate cast aluminium letters fitted to the steel number plate itself. So it's proper as found. And I do like that kind of thing. The tyres are probably a bit past their best. And the running board looks like it's been below a drip from the ceiling of whatever building it was in, but yeah, it is doable. Hopefully someone will take that on. Right, let's carry on down here, and we have a little Mazda estate, I believe, mid restoration. Looks like this was primed quite some time ago, but don't forget to let me know in the comments if you've got any memories of the cars that feature in this particular video. Let's have a quick look here. So this is a 1973 Mazda 1300 Deluxe Estate. Bit of a work in progress, but maybe we'll see this one restored here in a year or two's time. Left-hand drive as well. I wonder what hides in that huge Mazda branded box in the back there. Oh, it says, there we go. The answer is given to us. It is a bonnet. We have apparently a new old stock bonnet just hiding away in there. Fancy that. I mean, some of these Japanese cars of the 70s are the hardest cars probably of the era to restore, because parts must be almost unobtainable. Looks like we have an engine just sat where the passenger seat would normally be. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to see that one done. Now look at this. Wouldn't blame you for not knowing what this is. This is the Lee Francis Ace of Spades. They didn't make too many of these. I think they were Jaguar powered, the XK engine. You can kind of see this homage to the old style Lee Francis radiators of old. The top bit reminds me of the Lee Francis 14 built in the early post-war years. But this one a whole lot later than that. Quite an unusual looking car. A bit of a project. I like the sort of the sunrise effect sewn into the back of the seat, which is mirrored over on the passenger seat. That's quite cool. I'm not sure if I've ever seen one of these in the metal before. Aluminium dash. So what year is this? I'm guessing this is sort of late 1980s. It's got that sort of vibe to it, but yeah, answers on the postcard please. I'm sure those rear lights will have been borrowed from something else. Maybe you know, let me know in the comments. Always good to read your comments. Let's have a quick look at the info board so you can have a quick read of this. So it's a 1990 Lee Francis Ace of Spades, chassis 5506, rediscovered at the former Lee Francis factory where it had remained incomplete following the suspension of the project. So there we go, a bit of the back history there. Yeah, what an unusual machine. That's what's pretty cool about these really big indoor events like this at the NEC. Don't forget, the biggest of all is in November, where 5 halls are ram-packed with fascinating cars, some restored, some not restored. But this is mainly, well, this is a classic car and restoration show, so you get a bit of everything. Of the two events, this is probably my favourite. Well, there's no getting away from the huge variety of cars that turn up at the November do. Here we've got an XR2 Mark II. Looks like there's a little bit of tin worm in the rear quarters, so yeah, definitely a project for someone, but such is the popularity of these old fast forwards. And this is from Merthyr Tydfil. So it's down in mid Wales. On this side is looking a little delicate as well. So yeah, bit of a project for someone, but I'm sure that'll be done before long. And staying with Dagenham's finest, we have a Ford Cortina Mark I. It's quite an early one. I did wonder if it was a console Cortina, but it says Cortina on the back. Let's have a look on the bonnet. It's a nice dusty one, just how we like to find them. Let's have a quick look. Yes, it is the console. Later cars, later Mark I's would be badged up as Cortina front and rear. But that is probably pretty rare now. A standard 4-door saloon. Just wants a bit of a clean and an oily rag. There we go, it's a 1964. It's not on a dated letter. Often the 64 cars would be on a B. So this one, discovered in 2025 after spending 39 years off the road. There we go. And again, there's the blurb for all the Ford fans out there. A 1986 tax disc, a disabled person's badge, expiring in September 88. So we can see this is probably last on the road in the late 1980s. Pretty dusty now, but I'm sure that would scrub up quite well. Still got its rear arches. That's pretty cool to see. Like I say, it's going to get an awful lot busier than this. This Triumph Stag, of course, needs a bit of, well, looks like it's going to need a little bit of TLC. Someone's made a start on the rear corner. That'll keep someone quiet for quite a while. Great cars, a 3-litre V8 engine as standard. This is a 1974 car. Again, I'll just have a quick read of the blurb if I get out of the light. There we go. Rightio, let's carry on past the oldie Triumph Stag. And probably one of the rarest cars here today is this Bedford Astra van. Wow. Regulars to the Old Classic Car channel will know I am quite fond of a commercial vehicle. And these little vans, well, these are super duper rare. So this was presumably a contemporary of the Mark I Astra, but obviously the Bedford, the original metal plate, hopefully that can be preserved. I remember briefly we had when I was a kid, Dad had a Cavalier Estate in the same shade of green as this. Yeah, look at that, you can see where the Estate version of the Astra, they would have had the windows cut out in the back, but this one remained panelled in, being the van. So it's a Bedford Astra van. Wow, complete with tow bar. So you could put your Sprite Musketeer caravan on the back perhaps. What a thing. Well, anyway, let's have a look. 1984 Bedford Astra van. First supplied by Eden Park Garage in Beckenham, Kent. Wow. Hopefully this also we'll see restored at some point. Glass sunroof as well, all the mod cons. What a rare old girl that is. We have a Land Rover here, Series 3. Looks like it's had a bit of a meeting with something low. You can see the aluminium roof is just a little bit crumpled. It's looking a little sorry for itself, but I'm sure it will get done. Yeah. Just like a giant Meccano kit, these Land Rovers, so someone will do that, I'm sure. But yeah, that roof is looking a bit second hand. Did someone back something into it, I'm wondering, or did it just try to go under a very low bridge? Who knows. A Cavalier here. This looks like one of the fairly upmarket ones. What's the story with this? The GSI 2016 valve, no less. Wowzers. That is a pretty unusual car now. Again, a little bit of tinworm in those rear corners. By God. Someone has been here before looking at the filler that's hanging out. That'll keep someone quiet. But rare car now. On the G registration number. There's the blurb. 1989 Cavalier GSI 16 valve. Pretty cool to see. Right, so let's carry on our voyage over in this direction. And here we have the Citroën 2CV, a little De Chevaux, fairly late example from the 80s, 1985-ish, going off the reg. Looks like someone has sat on the bonnet. You probably can't quite tell, but yes, that's an 86. The C ran from 85 to 86. There we go. Lots of dry storage. Now an appealing restoration project. Of course, you can buy pretty much everything for these, including galvanised chassis. A little bit ventilated on the ventilator panel there. I've no doubt someone will tackle that. Everything on bolts, making it perhaps one of the easier cars to restore. Very, very thin metal on these though, so you'd have to be pretty nifty with the welder if you're going to weld in panels, but in many cases it's easier just to find good panels to bolt on instead. Still got the original opening slide back roof as well. One of my favourite cars though here in the barn find display is this Mark I Zephyr Zodiac from the early 1950s. This really was the car that replaced the V8 Pilot. So when I did the video the other day about the V8 Pilot Woody, I mentioned how the V8 Pilots were replaced by the Zephyrs and the Zodiacs, and this is an example of the top of the tree, the Zephyr Zodiac in Mark I form with its straight six engine, two-tone paint scheme, very distinctive styling at the front to differentiate it from the four-cylinder Ford Consul, which was sold alongside. Introduced in the early 1950s, about 51-ish I think, this new series of cars came out. So what's the story with this one? So 1956 with a 2.6 litre engine. There we go, bit of the back history there. Who's going to take this on? If you do take this on, please let me know in the comments. Send me a couple of photos when it's finished, because it'd be really cool. You see all these before cars, but you'd sometimes wonder, do they ever actually get done? So it would be neat to do a follow-up on this one day, still with its original steel sun visor, all very rock and roll bench seating, quite jazzy and very, very stylish dash. That's pretty neat. I do like that. Yes, clearly it's been sat under various trees. These haven't been stuck on just for the show, I'm fairly sure of that. Yep. Good old moss. Oh. That is pretty neat. Have you ever owned one of these? Closest I ever got was a neighbour having a Mark I Consul when I was a nipper back in the 1970s. Right, and also in the 1970s when I was a nipper, a mate of mine's mum bought a brand new Austin Allegro estate in bright orange. That one was on an S registration. This one's a little bit earlier, two-door saloon. And you can see I'm not sure if you can see through the window, but the famous quartic steering wheel, not perfectly circular, which was something that was dropped, I believe, on later cars. So this is a fairly early one. Should have the early slatted grille, and it's got a private registration number from a much older car. That wouldn't be its original number. We have Allegro Club International, so clearly in, or has been, in enthusiast hands. There's a bit of the history there on this very, very early Austin Allegro. Pretty cool to see. Actually, it doesn't actually look that bad at all. When I was a youth, these were often referred to as the Blob, for fairly obvious reasons. Sometimes the All Aggro as well. But yeah, quite a few of these have headed into preservation now, which is good to see. Right, slightly later, but in a similar vein, we have an Austin Maestro from 1987 on an E-plate. Again, super duper dusty, still with its original Austin Rover wheel trims there. Yes, very dusty. You can see where various creatures have been slithering around. This is the City X. Properly dusty. AA relay. Might need a bit of that. Well, looks like it's all there. Okay, now we are back to little light commercials. Someone that's handily written on here: Post Office Telephones, Telephone Manager, Shrewsbury. Certainly looks like it needs a bit of TLC. The 1972 Morris Minor 600 weight GPO Telephone Engineer's van. Look at that. I'm sure it won't be too long before this one gets restored. So popular are these. It's got the usual tin worm round the back arches. It'd be interesting to have a look at the chassis underneath, because even though it's got a separate chassis, they do tend to go quite rusty. The whole body lifts off these, unlike the saloons. This on a K plate, so about 70, 71. It's a very nifty looking steering wheel as well, I like that. Can't quite see the make. If I just poke the camera in, maybe we'll see it on there. Well, there's a very stylish steering wheel. I do like that. And you can see the yellow on the inside of the doors for the GPO. Correct bonnet on it as well. Oh no, I lie. This is a bonnet off a saloon, because you can see where the strips would have been on either side. The vans didn't have the strips, as I've mentioned on several occasions before. Right, we'll carry on our journey along Dusty Row, and we have MGB Roadster. So this is one of the cars with the recessed grills. So after they dropped the chrome grille, they went to this, which is like a recessed type of grille, same as on Dad's rubber, chrome bumper MGB GT, but it didn't last for too long. People weren't a huge fan of these, so they did revise the grille probably on a couple of occasions after this. And then it was all changed when the rubber bumper cars came out. 1971. It's been part of Bernard M's life for almost half a century. There we go. Planned is a full restoration once the show is over. There we go. It's always fun to see these things as found, as dragged out of garages and from under hedges. The good thing with MGBs is you can buy a complete new body shell if you wish to. So many a car that would normally have been scrapped has been rescued because new body shells were put into production quite a long time ago now. Probably 30 odd years ago they put those back into production, and they were used when the MGR V8 came along. Now we are back to a bit of classic Japanese action from the early 1970s, and another Mazda. So what's the story of this one? A 76 Mazda 1300 Deluxe Saloon. Came across this example for sale in Portugal. Wow. Right-hand drive. That's interesting. So a bit of the history there if you just want to pause the video. Portuguese plate still on the front, or the remains of it. So the climate over there will probably have helped ensure the survival of this one. The sun has got to the top of the dashboard, so that could be tricky to replace. But otherwise, look at that. It's had a little nerf there, but it's the original steel, and it's still got this seam here as well, where the back wing joins the dog leg in front of the back wheel. So that's probably quite unusual to see that original seam still there. It'd be neat to see that back on the road. Staying with Japan, we have a Nissan or a Datsun Cherry. It's actually badged up as both, this one on the Y registration. 1983 Cherry GL. There we go. Another Survivor car here. This one with a couple of stickers for Air UK. Cool, I remember those aircraft coming in and out of Manchester in my plane spotting days in the early 1980s. Air UK. Is it Fokker F-27s? I think they used to fly. Something like that. But yeah, it's interesting how it's badged as Datsun and Nissan. I think Datsun was the kind of factory that they were built, Nissan was the design house. I could be wrong on this. Then gradually they switched to just using the Nissan name. Still with the original supplying dealer sticker in the back window. BBC Radio Jersey. And talking of original stickers, ooh, I like that. UK, and there is, I think, the Fokker F-27 G-BHMY. Hope that sticker survives during the restoration. Still got the original mud flaps on as well. There we go. Datsun mud flaps, no less. Oof. All the accessories. Right, let's carry on our journey. Our Triumph Dolomite Sprint. Fortunately, quite a few of these pretty unusual 16-valve power cars survive. Some say the early ones survive a bit better than the later ones. Perhaps the steel was a bit better. Who knows? This one's got a bit of the tin worm in the front. This one's from 1979. There's all the important Sprint badging on the back quarter there. Sprint alloy wheels. It's the central garage. Brixham Limited. British Leyland sticker. Still in the back window. That's pretty cool. Right, and we are back around to the little Morris over there. So I think we will continue our journey. I think that's all the cars in the barn find display. Well, I say that because if I go past this Nissan Cherry over onto the Footman James Insurance stand, they're sponsoring this particular part of the show, we have a work in progress Bentley, no less. Looks like it's had a bit of action on its rear corner, mid restoration here. Two-door drop head Bentley, super original paint. I wonder if that'll be kept like that. Be kind of cool to rock up to a Bentley Drivers Club event in its original paint still. That would be neat. And swan off down to Saint-Tropez perhaps. But yeah, pretty cool to see that one here today. Of course, not just barn finds and restoration projects, also lots and lots of restored classics here as well.
All exhibitors are requested to check their stands for any item.
Talking of restored classics, we've got a glorious example of the Jaguar XK120 fixed head coupe. Presumably the same car being used in a bit of competition. 3.4 litre SE fixed head coupe, the last fixed head coupe built, C-type head, £120,000. But yes, the last ever XK120 before. A similar looking but very different in detail 140 took over. But I do love these. As we are at the restoration show, it seems appropriate to mention the video that I did just a few years back when I went to help a mate of mine collect a very, very rusty XK120 from a shipping container. He is getting on with that project and I hope to go and have a look at it before too long to see how he's getting on with it. But yeah, this one is clearly in immaculate condition. A bit of mini restoration action over here. Got a very original looking 1275 GT, quite a late one from 1980. I like the little bull bar things on the front. I'm less keen on the floors and the sills, mind you, but at least with minis you can buy everything for them, so it won't be long before this one gets the full treatment, I'm sure. Vinyl roof, wow. Got a mini body shell here, part restored. That's one of the cool things about this event, is that as you wander around many of the club stands, and indeed the specialist stands, they have active ongoing restoration demonstrations taking place over the weekend. This is a 3-day event. Like I said, today is Friday, day 1, and the show isn't fully open even now, but yeah, there's already seen lots and lots of cool things. Right, let's carry on in this general direction. Lots and lots of trade suppliers in this hall. It's a 50-50 split in here between club stands and Auto Jumble, which is over at the far end, which if I get time we'll go and have a look at, but the priority really is the cars. And look at this incredible Aston Martin Lagonda. These are pretty wild cars. Such an ambitious design. I like the fact that the glass sunroof is for the benefit of the rear seat occupants, not so much the people in the front. Engine out on this one. Bit to do there. Let's keep going around here. Aston Martin Lagonda. Quite the variety on the Nordic Rides stand here. Got a little DAF 44. Who remembers those with the CVT transmission? Pretty neat thing. Later bought out by Volvo, and a super duper early Saab bullnose, one of the 2-stroke bullnoses just over the way. Wonderful, wonderful condition. The badge with the wings either side, a reminder or a nod to the Saab aviation division. Earlier bullnoses had a little aeroplane motif badge actually on the grille itself. That's pretty neat. Was that the later cars? I think that was actually the later cars. What a beautiful car. It's very, very streamlined styling, as befits an aircraft manufacturer, and the lovely script for the Saab 93 just on the back there. But what a Bobby Dazzler that is. It really is. Rear hinge doors as well. That really is a bit of a gem, that one. And look at this incredible Volvo camper. By gum. So presumably this started out as a Volvo estate, and then the back end somewhat modified to make it into what we see here, this incredible camper. Oh, what a thing. I've seen Saab campers where you sort of back up to a rear body and attach it, but this, well, I've never seen one of these before. That is pretty neat. Yeah, the Swedish Car Club, got a Volvo 145, so the estate version of the 140 series. Can't get round there. Maybe we won't go that way. Maybe we'll go this way instead. Look at the huge Volvo lorry, the F88, alongside in immaculate condition. What a cracker that is. We've got another Volvo 145. This is a much later car with the big safety bumpers. By this point in time they were fitting flush door handles as well. The earlier 145s didn't have that style of door handle. In beautiful condition. The V70 here. We used to have one of these V70 Mark IIs many moons ago. This one from 2006. Yeah, look at that Scandinavian airline system bag. Do like that. Got a BOAC one at home, and today's bag of choice is Trans World Airways. Very practical, very usable car. Got a couple of P1800s just over the way, and an incredible limousine Volvo from the 1950s, which looks very similar at the front, at least, to like an upscaled PV. We've had a PV 444 and 544, but this is the PV 831, King Gustav VI of Sweden's royal car from 1953. PV 831 limousine, 7-seater no less. What an amazing machine. Plus the regular PV 444s and 544s, they were all 2 doors, but this wonderful limousine is 4-door with acres of seating in the back. You can just see through the window there, oodles of legroom. There's the P1800. Simon Templar, Roger Moore, of course, with his own TV car. I think he owned it himself for a while. Right, we will carry on, and we are back to a slice of Britishness here and the Jowett Car Club. They always have a fantastic display at the NEC events, always lots of work going on. And it seems to be a celebration of the Jowett Bradford, a little commercial Jowett in the post-war years, probably introduced in the late 1940s off the top of my head. We've got various body styles here. We've got a little drop side pickup, which is very neat indeed. Looks like it's been recently restored. Beautiful condition. What a cracking little thing that is. Built at Idle in Bradford. There we go. The Jowett Bradford. There's a panel van alongside. Bit of work going on this van with added windows. That's really neat to see. Like I say, lots of hands-on demonstrations, work in progress, people restoring cars over the course of the weekend. This is a Woody. It's pretty cool to see that, because I did a video, which you probably will have seen, about a V8 Pilot Woody just the other day, and this is a super little Woody version of the Jowett Bradford. This gives you an idea of just how much forward planning goes into creating the displays that you see at events like this. There we go. 1948 station wagon, body built by Frank Grounds Limited, Aston, Birmingham. The Jowett main agent, no less. Cool. I don't think I've ever seen a Numo number plate before. That's pretty neat. That's a new one on me. Fantastic. Bit of work going on the front of this one, and this incredible ice cream van. Now this one featured here on the channel, was it last year possibly, or maybe the year before, in complete condition. Now it is mid restoration. Hopefully all that original paintwork is going to be preserved, just oily ragged. What a treat to see this beautiful old sign writing. Such a little gem, this one. You can see the little horizontally opposed engine, which is a feature of Jowett's of this time. So you've got a cylinder over here with a spark plug.
The show will be open in 15 minutes. Please ensure that all rubbish, boxes and stock are removed from the gangways and your stand is ready for visitors.
Next up over here, we've got the Morris Minor LCV register stand. LCV, I'm guessing light commercial vehicle, i.e. the Morris Minor based vans, and the Austin badged equivalents, the pickups as well, and any special bodied vehicles based on the commercial chassis. This one, a van with added windows, which was a pretty common mod back in the day, and nice curvy roof rack as well, with like a bit of period roof rack action. Nice hefty jack there, just holding up the sign. So 1964 Morris 600 van, the Gaffer. And here's a list of the jobs that are planned for this weekend. Back axle change. It's got rusty spring mounts, handbrake cables, rear cylinders and hoses, clutch change, speedo cable, suspension bushes, fit refurbished front wings, and then a few other bits on here, chassis legs, rear bump stops, rear body, new floors. So quite a lot planned, but quite a lot planned for the next few days or so. That's pretty neat. We've got an Austin badged van here, quite a late one on a K plate. Yeah, this one looks super duper original. It's got a later rocker cover off one of the A+ engine cars. Looks very, very original, this paint. A Unipart security system, no less. Stunning example of the pickup variant here. Wow, what a cracker. And I'm not quite sure what's going on with this, presumably re-engined, judging by the unusual snout. It's been extended somewhat over the original Morris Minor front end. You can see these extra aluminium infill panels there, and the radiator mounted a bit further forward. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. What's this here? It's got a Marina engine apparently. Yeah, many mods. Sunroof as well. Next to it, Mark 1 MX-5. Porsche 94 of the way, and a Discovery just over here. A bit of work underway on that Moggy over there. We'll carry on in this direction. Rover 75, an estate version of the R8. Rover BRM register, so the BRM editions based on the Rover 200's BRM, of course British Racing Motors, a racing outfit set up by Raymond Mays, the man behind ERA, or English Racing Automobiles, in the 1930s, but BRM was his post-war race car construction and design company. More Rover Group action over the way over here, the 200 and 400 Owners Club. So yeah, Austin Rover, well represented. Got the little Streetwise here, which was the Rover 200 and jacked up a bit with the plastic front end and the wheel arch extensions. So they've certainly got their money's worth out of this basic design. Whenever I see one of these, it reminds me a little bit of what BL did to the MGB, lift it up a bit and fit the plastic front and rear when they produced even the rubber bumper MGBs. Right, auto jumble over the back there. Here we've got the Rover SD1s, a magnificent car here in red with a big air dam on the front. About 1984-ish, B registration. What a belter that is. I don't know a huge amount about SD1s, but I think these, I'm presuming this is a Vitesse, in this shade of red, I think it's a very, very sharp looking car indeed. There was a good turnout of SD1s at the BL day at Gaydon last year. Got an early V8 over here, the V8S. Don't see too many of them. A restoration project here, but a project with a difference because this one has been cut down into a pickup truck. By gum. That's quite the conversion. And over the way here I see more Rover action. This is the Rover P6 Owners Club. And we have immaculate examples. I think this is an import because it's got one of those ice detectors on the front. Yeah, the ice alert, which that was never fitted, I don't think, to UK market cars, but cars that went across to the States did have that fitted. Let's have a quick look at the blurb. Sold by Henleys in May 1969. And it's got most of the optional extras that were available at the time. Tacho, mud flaps, it's got the ice alert, so maybe they were offered as an option here in the UK. But yeah, they were standard fitment on the export cars. This is a multiple award-winning example. This is a lovely example. I do like the early P6s with the tin grills, as you can see here. A later car here with the sort of egg crate type grille, again in beautiful condition. I like the little telltales on here, which you can see from the driver's seat to just tell you that the side lights are on. That's quite neat. A 35S here in Monza red. Many air intakes on the bonnet of these. Replica April 72 tax disc. A Nada base unit. And this has the optional spare wheel mounted on the boot lid or trunk lid, as the Americans would say. Bit of period brochure action in the back there. And this shows you just how far you can dismantle a Rover P6 if you're thinking of restoring one, here you go. If you're thinking of buying one, here you go. It's quite a complex structure, I believe. And the metal moth has certainly got to this one. But many is the smart looking car that hides a bit of this tinworm, because it's quite easy to bolt on good panels onto a structure which is less than brilliant. This is a 68 in zircon blue, a 2000 TC, and it's a TC that needs quite a lot to doing. Wowzers. So a bit like the Citroen DS, you've got bolt-on wings, front and rear, I think even the roof unbolts, doors of course unbolts, but yeah, quite a bit of work for whoever decides to take that on. We've got quite a few P6 spares there as well. Right, let's keep it going and see what else we can see just over behind the SD Club. Lots of spares here as well on the P6 Club stand. And we have more dismantled Rover P6. Yes, these were originally designed with gas turbine propulsion in mind. And you can see the torsion bar front suspension which picks up on the bulkhead. So you have to make sure with these that they've got a really strong unrotten bulkhead, because a lot of forces go through it with the suspension hanging off the bulkhead, as you can see here. So no coil springs or anything like that on here. Really quite an advanced car for the day. We've got an H-plater at the back, this one on an end, the V8. We'll carry on along here. There is the barn find display that we were looking at earlier. And here a celebration of Jaguar XJ40s. So these early XJ40s, which came along to replace the Series 3s, they came with either these twin circular headlights as you see there, or they have the so-called goldfish bowl lights. 2.9 and 3.6 litre versions were offered. This Daimler version has got the goldfish bowl lights, as you can see there. Quite a handsome car now, but not many good ones left. They did tend to go quite frilly. Look at the beautiful interior of that. What a treat, this Daimler version of the XJ40 series. That looks very agreeable indeed. This one from 1988. Bit of the history there. And like I say, we've got a black Jaguar badge version here. I wonder if this is a 2.9. It's a 3.6, but with these circular headlights. I love the inlaid wood on the dash panels there. Behind the two XJs we've got a Volvo 740 GL, a scrappage scheme survivor. It's good to see. Manual box in this one. Super solid cars. As I've mentioned before, we bought a 760 GLE estate when we were moving house many moons ago, and that was a great, very useful thing that was. Paid £125 for it MOT, but with a slipping auto box. All it needed was a top up of the gearbox fluid and it was fine after that. And we ran it for just a few months while we were moving, sold it on again, still with MOT, I think it was about £100, and the owner drove away very happy with it indeed. Yeah, lots and lots of auto jumble here as well today. And here is the H-Plater Rover P6 V8. Lovely original plate note. It really is a clean looking car. My first Rover P5B of the day is this Kia Reg example here. Over on the Rover Sports Register. Another P6, red one over there. Happy memories of owning a P5B saloon a few years ago. This the coupe with a much lower roofline, as you can see here. Still a four-door car. Very swish indeed. Now we're going back to the pre-war days, and a lovely little Rover here. So which one is this, I wonder? Is this a 12 perhaps? Could be a 10 or a 12. There's no clue on the badge on the top of the grille. Yeah. Super looking car, real quality cars these were. It's really neat to see. More barn finds over there, but let's keep going down this way and we have Rover P4. Nice early one, and this is the Cyclops, so named for the central lamp in the centre of the grille there. That would soon be deleted from production cars, so only the very early cars had this. What I like about these early P4s is how curvy the front wings are and how it all sort of curves and wraps around. It was all squared off a bit more on the later P4s. Same with the back as well. The shape.
Ladies and gentlemen, the practical classic car and restoration show is now open. Carrying hands, we'd like to wish you a very enjoyable and successful show.
As I was saying, lovely shape to the front and rear. Later cars probably have bigger boots, but I do love the styling of the tail of these earlier P4s. Rear hinge back doors, that was a feature on all the P4s. Most of the cars had aluminium skinned doors, but later P4s did switch to steel. Yeah. By all accounts, lovely cars to waft around in. It really is a beautiful example here in pale blue. That's what we've seen Morris Minors, quite a few of them. Now we are on the Morris register stand for some of the slightly earlier Morrises. And taking pride of place here in front of me, we've got a little Morris Z, but not a Z van. This one, a pickup version. I wonder if it's always been like that, or is it a cut down van perhaps? It's quite a common mod to convert vans into pickups and so on. This one is in very original condition, a little Morris van. So this was probably a contemporary of the Series E, and it shared the same 918cc side valve engine. Let's just have a quick lean in there. Oof. Super original. I'm guessing the passenger seat was probably an option as well. That is pretty neat. Yep, so based on the running gear of the little Morris 8. I'm guessing that the line of the top of the pickup body tilts down a little bit as you get to the back, so I'm wondering if this started out as a van, because that line is very similar to the line that features down the side of the regular vans. But if that is a conversion, it was done an awful long time ago. The paintwork looks super original on that. Yeah, I do like that. And sticking with Morris 8s, we've got several earlier examples. This is a Series 1 Morris 8. You can tell that because it's got the chrome radiator surround there and the spoked wheels. The Series 2, which came along after this, which wasn't produced for very long actually, that they lost the wire wheels and they went to so-called easy cleans, and the radiator surround was painted rather than chrome plated, as you see there. This is a 4-door car. You could also get the 2-door saloons and the little vans as well. That really is a little treat. And this is the Morris 8 Series E. So this is the car that's replaced the Morris 8 Series 2. So these were built from 39, there we go, 39 through to 1948. Many rebuilt parts on this. The Morris Register, I know, has a very good spare parts scheme to help keep these little cars on the road and in use. This one has had a headlight conversion. That was a fairly common mod on these back in the 1950s. These pods are an add-on so that you can fit the regular 7-inch Lucas headlights to it. So originally they just had slopey lamps that were much more sort of streamlined, if you like, and that's where they would originally have fitted on. But you could buy these pods to upgrade your lighting. And quite a few Morris 8 Series E's and Z vans have been updated in that way. The bonnet is up so we can see the little 918 engine tucked away in there. And that engine would see quite a lot of use post-war as well, because when the new for 1948 Morris Minor came along, for several years it featured that engine under its bodywork. So this is a 4-door Series E. It looks very original. Morning, sir. Is this one yours, is it, sir?
Yeah.
All right, come on then, let's hear a little bit about it, if you've got a moment.
Yeah, certainly.
So what's the backstory with this one then?
I bought it about 14 years ago by default, which is how I ended up with Morris cars.
Oh, right.
It was actually for the wife to drive. It was a bit downhill power. After having motorbikes, I've always learned if it was running, leave it alone. And for 10 years it was great.
Yeah.
Then the head gasket went, and it took us about 6 weeks to get the head off. And we had it all done. To cut a long story short, we had the unleaded seats put in, which we was told would be fine.
Oh, right.
3 months after we had it, the block collapsed,
Yeah.
so we had to change the engine. But the engine out of this is the one out of the tank.
Is it?
It's out of a Centurion tank, yeah.
So it's like a little donkey engine?
It was a donkey engine for running the generator, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So do you use it quite a lot?
Yeah, we use it all year as well.
Do you?
Yes, that's why it's been converted
Really?
to 12 volt, because you can actually see where you're going.
Got a spare set of plugs there just in case?
That's it, yeah. It's,
So what other mods do you think you're going to do to it? Or?
I was going to try and find some way of fitting a heater, because it can be a bit cold in the winter because there's no heater at all. But generally speaking, it runs quite well. It's been up to Scotland and back, so it's...
I know the Ford Pops used to have a heater that was built into the top hose, and then it'd be sort of like trunking into the cab.
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
No.
It's only, the only problem with this though is there's no water pump on it.
Same with the Pop.
Yeah. But you can, with this engine, you can actually fit a water pump to this, because the same engine was also fitted in your very early Morris Minors.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real treat to see this one here today, and it looks very, very original as well.
Pretty much.
What a great car. Well, that was not a treat having a closer look at that Series E. And talking of Series E's, we've got a little Tourer version here, and this has the original headlights. So like I said, the car there has had the little pods with a 7-inch headlight conversion. This is how it would originally have been supplied. That's a beautiful example. And we go back much further in time to the 1920s, in fact, for this glorious bullnose Morris here. Is it a Cowley? Is it an Oxford? It is an Oxford. There we go. So that was a slightly more upmarket version. This has got the 3 wheel stud fittings. Oftentimes, certainly in old photographs, you see these bullnose Morrises, and 9 times out of 10 it seems to be that the 3 stud wheels are on the Cowleys, whereas 5 stud are on the Oxfords. But as with everything, there's always an exception to the rule. And look at this lovely shell can here. Shell cans, well, you can find those fairly easily, but a Morris Cars shell can with the embossed lettering, that is very, very unusual indeed. I do like that. So shell for, as you can just, Morris Cars. Fantastic. That is very rare. And what a beautiful car this is. So it's a 4-seat Tourer with the original Brooks case on the back. So of course you don't have a separate boot on these. So you've got the luggage rack on the back, and in this case fitted with a storage trunk on it. The rear seat passengers, they get to benefit in this example from their own little windscreen. A company called Oster, A-U-S-T-E-R, used to produce the Oster screens for cars of this age. As you can see, it's all hinged, so you could push this against the back of the front seats when you want to clamber on board. And then once you're safely installed on the lovely leather rear seat, you could pull the whole assembly towards you to provide for a bit of draft-free motoring. Now, I've seen a few Oster screens on vintage cars, but I've not seen one quite like this before. So that's really neat. I love the way it picks up on the back of the front seat there. Because oftentimes when you drive these cars, when you're in the front, you are protected from the wind by the windscreen assembly here. But it tends to curve around, and if you're sat in the back, it can be like a wind tunnel. I gave some young ladies a ride to their school prom once in the back of our 1924 Dodge. And I don't think they realised quite how drafty it was going to be riding along in the back of this vintage car. So I was down to about 15 miles an hour just so that it didn't muck up their hair. But yes, very, very interesting display here on the Morris Register stand. Next up, West, Women in Engineering, Science and Technology. So what's this then? Engineering is for everyone. So yeah, we've got a few restoration projects being undertaken over here. We'll just carefully sneak in here. We've got an Austin A30, a two-door saloon. Bonnet up, clearly a bit of work going on with this one. There we go. That's pretty neat. Looks actually in pretty good condition. Often they're rotting out down this seam here. That looks like a pretty bonny example. Bonnet up, so maybe we can see the little four-cylinder engine. If we just sneak around here, there it is. The famous A-Series, which made its debut in the Austin A30 and went on to feature in so many cars in inline form like here, including the Morris Minor, of course, and the later A40 like we've got at home, and then in transverse form with a gearbox underneath in the Mini and the 1100 range. So yeah, a very, very versatile engine indeed. Again, little jobs going on there. Gearbox out. Very original plates on that one as well. So we like that kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on here. 1977 Lomax. So that's the 2CV based little car. Sorry, ladies. I'm just having a bit of a project here.
Yes.
So what's the plan for the weekend then?
I'm going to fit the new. We've got some bigger bores. I bought the big bore kit because the old ones, the piston rings were quite worn. It was passing oil through and it was scored. So I thought, I guess I'll just put a big bore kit.
So it's basically a 2CV chassis then?
Yeah, a 2CV chassis, but with a rear arm missing. So it's a three-wheeler. And then I've got a kit to put on top of it, so it'll eventually have a body on it.
So is this your job or is it just a hobby?
It is my job, but I work on modern stuff usually, and then this is sort of my weekend stuff.
That's excellent. Well, best of luck with it. Thank you. Yeah, pretty cool to see all this work in progress stuff going on. And on the end here, a little Fiat 500, and behind that, a Porsche in pieces. A stunning 1930s Bentley drophead just over the way here, BXF 436. Just wonderful, wonderful detailing on cars of this age. Look at that. Stunning car, spare wheel on the side there. Room for four and this wonderfully comfortable interior. And look at that dashboard. Harley did a video just a week or so back, which I think is going live sometime very soon, of a gentleman's collection of cars, and one of them, which he got to have a ride in, was a wonderful Derby Bentley saloon of the 1930s. Right, we will carry on in this general direction. We've got the TR register stand, various bits of Triumph TR4 or whatever. TR2 to TR4A, there we go. And we have the chassis, the separate chassis and running gear of a TR Triumph here, so you can see back axles, all fairly simple stuff, back axle, very short prop shaft, gearbox, and here a 4-cylinder engine, a couple of Stromberg carburetors fitted to this one. Yeah, gives you a pretty good idea of how cars typically of this era were put together. Coil front suspension there, leaf springs at the back, which you can see here. So you've got the semi-elliptic leaf springs either side at the back, coils at the front. It's getting a bit busier now, not sure what the time is, but probably about 10:30 now I would have thought. And over here we have lots and lots of the classic car dealers. This is where all manner of beautiful cars are up for sale. Classic cars, vintage cars, and some modern classics as well. So whatever you're after, you will probably find an example of it here somewhere. There's a lovely little Lancia app here. Super little cars. Like the P4, rear hinge back doors, but unlike the P4, there's no centre pillar on these. What do we have tucked away over here? Little Lee Francis Sports. This is quite a rare post-war car, contemporary of the 14 horsepower saloons, which occasionally we see. You don't see many of these Lee Francis Sports around. Right, we'll just carry on, have a bit of a mooch around some later cars here, so we'll keep going in the direction of the older metal. And here, glorious Alvis. Which one is this? TD21, I think. Yeah, TD21 drop head coupe by Park Ward, 1961, overdrive power steering, yours for £67,500. Lovely car, like the mascot. That's pretty neat. One of the favourite videos that I've done for the channel was a couple of years ago, and I went to go and visit Chris Prince and his incredible assortment of parts and restoration project Alvises tucked away in various barns on this property. That was really quite an interesting day out. We've got a Jaguar 420G here for a smidgen under 35,000. XJ, Series 1 XJ over here. What have we got here? So it's in sable, sort of browny colour. It's an XJ6. Which one is this? 4.2, 1971, 42,000 miles, yours for 26.5. Beautiful car. Same colour as that XJ12 Series 1 that I featured on the website just a few days ago. Right, let's keep going over this general way. Bit of Morris Minor action here. Got a Moggy Traveller and a super rare Royal Mail van. Look at that, still with the rubber wings rather, which was a Royal Mail feature on so many of their vans, and it has the split divided opening on the driver's side front window, so that really is a very, very unusual car. I featured another Royal Mail or GPO van just recently in a video which should be going onto the website fairly soon, onto the channel even. This one from 1954, one of 4 remaining rubber winged post office vans, 16.5 this is up for sale for. Very rare to see these original rubber wings with the little headlights mounted on top. Again, very different to your regular Morris Minors. You can see the Traveller alongside with the standard wings on it. The GPO, the Royal Mail, they often had rubber wings on their vans. Same with the Morris J-types as well. Your regular J-type vans had steel front wings, but the post office vans had the rubber ones. I think the idea was because these were always parking up often in tight spaces, if you did ding a wall or something, it wouldn't come to any harm being rubber. That is a properly rare vehicle now. There's a big auction taking place later in the weekend just over the back there. I might have a look around there after. This is the Skoda Club. A variety of Skodas here, of course. famous well through into the 1980s for their rallying exploits. And we've got several competition prepared examples on the Skoda Club stand here. Really neat to see them. Let's just keep going over here. Skoda Favorit. Look at this. Is this like an Octavia with windows in the back? So it's an Octavia estate, I think. But don't quote me on that. Somewhat re-engined, it would appear. The Mazda twin cam looks a bit like our MX-5 engine. So that's my guess. Slightly wider rear arches as well. That's a very modified little Octavia. Let's keep going in this general direction. A bit of chat going on over there. Got a rally chopper. What do we have here? Little Avenger, the Chrysler Avenger from 1978. Right, we'll keep going in this general direction. And this huge fenced off area over here is where the auction is. So we've got a 911 Targa in many, many pieces. Plenty to do. Must be like being a bit like being in a goldfish bowl, working on these cars with all the people milling around. Today is Friday, but I imagine it'll be exceptionally busy on Saturday and Sunday here today. Right, I think I'm going to try and get into the auction area and have a bit of a look around there. It's not going to be possible to feature every single car here at this weekend's auction by Iconics, but we'll have to have a look at this. 1937 SS Jaguar 2.5 litre sports saloon, 15,000 miles showing, estimate 20 to 25. What a glorious bit of kit that is. It's SS Jaguar. SS as founded by Sir William Lyons and William Walmsley in the early days of SS. Sidecars, then rebodying Austin 7s and Standards before they went on to start, before William Lyons by that point in time went on to start producing cars of their own using standard engines in the early days. Yeah, loads and loads of different cars. Like I said, I can't feature them all, but let's just have a bit of a wander around, just see what we can see. Got a Fiat Panda and an X19 over the way there. That Toyota Corolla, quite a sporty little number. All sorts. This really is a huge, huge auction. Fiat 500. Just keep out of someone's photo. There we go. Right. Keep going down here. Yeah, two Fiat 500s. Another little Daimler Dart there. The SP 250. 2.5 litre V8. It's fiberglass body as well. So that's a pretty radical car for the Daimler car company to come up with. A Beetle that's been converted into a convertible. This is not an original Carman convertible. Got a Morris Minor Million.
The Practical Classics World programme will start in 15 minutes.
A series of these cars were produced in the lilac colour that you see here to celebrate the 1 millionth Morris Minor, the post-war Minor being produced. Got a really early Tourer here. Let's just have a quick look. It's a low light as well. See how the wings curve down much more radically than on the later cars. If we just squeeze through here, there we go. EX7516. So this will have the Morris 8 Series E engine under the bonnet. It's a 1951 mm low light. The estimate 12 to 15 on this very, very rare car. We'll just sneak through here. Right. In lovely condition, lovely early interiors on these cars. Right, bit of track action. Is this an Elvis? The Citroën, the Traction Avant. Lovely, lovely car. I'm not going to try squeezing through there. Let's see what we've got here. We've got some early things tucked away. Austin 7 Chummy in the middle here. And what is this red car here? I'm intrigued to see what that is. But the Chummy, 1926, estimate 12 to 15. What's this? A Clino, 1926 Clino, 11 horsepower. Wow. What a lovely car. What a lovely lineup of cars, in fact. That traction, beautiful left-hand drive, French-built car. Not one of the Slough-built examples. Yeah, lots of fun to be had with that Clino, and indeed this Austin 7 Chummy alongside. Or maybe you would prefer a Bullnose Morris. Here we've got the Cowley. We saw the Oxford before, but this is the Bullnose Morris Cowley, which is sold alongside a slightly more upmarket Oxford. Again, 4-seat Tourer. This one doesn't have the option of the Oster screens. But very, very charismatic, these three. I would happily have any of those in the garage. Right, and what is this alongside it? Can't quite see from here. Let's just sneak through in two-tone brown. This is a Swift. There we go. It's a rare old girl now. What's the estimate on that? Let's have a quick look. 4 to 6. Wow. 2-seater plus dicky. £4,000. Well, it's a chunk of money, but what a stunning little car that is. Oof, look at the beautiful lamps on it as well. Lovely detailing. £4,000. Wow. If that comes for that sort of estimate, it'll be a really lovely buy for someone. You could have a lot of fun driving around on that. That really is a super duper little car. That is still got the side screens in it as well. What a beauty. Little telltales on the back of the side lights there. Yeah, there we go. Wow, Swift of Coventry, early vintage light car with Australian coachwork. Oh, so it went over there. Because it's pretty common for cars to be exported to Australia, then be bodied locally. That way it avoided punitive import taxes. If you imported complete cars into Australia for many, many years, in fact, you would get clobbered for tax. So the trick was to ship it over in a knockdown kits, just with the chassis, the running gear and sometimes the front end panels, then have the main body produced locally by an Australian coach builder, and that way you avoided those import taxes. Right, let's just keep going along here. Magnificent Rolls Royce is also got some slightly later modern classics here. We've got a Discovery. It's by Austin Devon. You can just see the curvaceous rump of this grey Austin A40 Devon. Happy memories of running one of those many years ago. Ours was a 1949 in black. In fact, we even used it as our wedding car. Right, ooh, I'm spotting a bit of barn find action there, but let's keep going over here because I wanted to have another look at the Austin Devon because you don't see those too often. They're a really early Series 1 Land Rover with the headlights behind the grille. There it is, the Austin A40 Devon. Little 1200cc engine under that bonnet. I think most of these ended up going for export in the sort of export or die era in the post-war years. This, the 4-door Devon. You could also get the 2-door Dorset, which wasn't actually produced for all that long, only for a year or so, and they are exceptionally rare. I mean, the 4-door Devons are pretty thin on the ground. The running gear of these would be used in the later Somerset, pretty much unchanged, though these were floor change. The Somerset had column gear shift. Yeah, same 1200cc engine, which was later became the B series. This had the forerunner of the B series engine under its bonnet. Of course, you could get vans and pickups as well. Got a little Singer Roadster here. And Mini TR2. I'll try for TR2 over there. That's a neat little car. We've got a Mini that someone's made into a convertible. Frog Eye Sprite. Mini. Here's a car. But I really do like the Jensen 541. Look at that. Fantastic. So this was the predecessor to the CV8, this the 541, which would have had an Austin engine, big old Austin engine under that fiberglass bonnet. What's the estimate on that? 15 to 20, but no reserve, so it could just sneak through. 1957 Jensen 541 project. Wow, it certainly is a project. I remember, was it last year? There were several CV8 restoration projects here as well. I think these are great looking cars. I really do love the look of those. These sort of scallopy bits down the side remind me very much of the Mercedes 300 SL of the 1950s. Right, down to 4% on the first battery, so let's keep going. Bentley partially dismembered here. Much later Bentley. Bit of Ford action. So that's a console, a 4-cylinder console. You've got a Mark 1 console alongside it, so we've got a matching pair there. You could buy one of each. How's that? Dagenham's finest, early 1950s, this one. What's the blurb on this? 1955, 5 to 7 is the estimate on that. Yeah, the Mark 2 alongside it. Capri, Fiesta Escort, a whole gaggle of minis. Even some of the later BMW minis. This is an 04, so that's reasonably early. Look at that, great little Austin rally car. Minis everywhere you look, plus the odd Fiesta as well. Is there anything here that floats your boat? Is there anything that you're thinking of bidding on perhaps? Or maybe you want to keep your cards close to your chest. I'm going to try and get this video out over the weekend of the show. Fingers crossed. Super little Mark 1 Austin Mini there. MGC Roadster. Got a little Riley. Looks like a Monaco. Ooh, now what is that over there? Now that is a rare car. Next to the RS Turbo, we've got an Austin A70 Hereford drop-head coupe. Now that is a rare thing, a bit like a Somerset but blown up a little bit. This, the Hereford, with a slightly bigger engine, bigger body, but very similar styling to the Somerset, but in drop-top form. This is seriously rare. Proper barn find job. 1952 Hereford convertible, 4 to 6. The estimate, the last tax disc is 1992. We'll just squeeze down here next to the little Ford. Wow, what a rare survivor that is. It's almost a shame to wash it. Quite good fun to take it to a car show looking just like that. Wind down windows. I love the way the door glasses are framed. Nice little details like that. Leather seating. Column gear change. What a thing. What a rare machine. Austin of England. Austin, you can depend on it, of course. Lots of interest being shown in the RS Turbo. Interesting to see how the sale goes. So many different cars here. Just have a bit of a general amble around, see what stands out. Very smart looking Ford Transit over the back, and see a Delta there. Saab with the low slung Lotus alongside it. Right, let's head over to the other side. Past the Subaru, let's go down here. Bit of Americana in this corner.
Just thought if you get something small,
Right, let's go down this way, I think. Escort Mexico. So what's this Chevy? What year is this? Special Deluxe, 1946, with an 8.2 litre V8 engine tucked away under the hood. Right. Another Chevy, this one on air suspension, judging by how close to the ground it is. But we've got a bit more traditional classic car action here. Got a Jaguar S-Type, or the 3.4S or 3.8S, depending on which one. This was a 3.4S. So this was an evolution of the Mark II, but improved in many, many ways, including the fitment of the independent rear suspension, which the Mark II never had. The estimate 10 to 12 on that. And a Daimler Coupe, the two-door coupe. What a 70s colour that is. Looks to be in lovely condition. That's a 4.2. Carry on down this way. So what do we have here? The Brough Superior. God, wow, you don't see these very often. Think Brough Superior, more often than not you think of the wonderful motorcycles of the 1930s, Lawrence of Arabia spec. But not too many of these Brough Superior cars are around. Looks to be super original, the interior. Certainly an eye-catching Grand Tourer, I think you would call this, wouldn't you? It really is a pretty spectacular machine. Beautiful plated fittings everywhere you look. What a magnificent machine. It's estimate 22 to 26. 28.8 horsepower, it's not brake horsepower. Straight 8 drop head coupe with interesting history. That one from 1935. So shades of Bentley and SS. It's a lot more jazzy with these chrome plated vents down the side of the bonnet and indeed on the scuttle next to the pop-up semaphore indicator. Yeah, definitely a rare old bird, that one. What's this Carlton here then? What's the story with this? Lotus Carlton. Low mileage example. Supplied new to the Sultan of Brunei, now requiring rest estimate 50 to 60. Wow, it wasn't long ago you could get a fully up and running one for that sort of money. Yeah. Be a very worthwhile project. Got a 65 left-hand drive E-Type, the Renault 5 Turbo alongside it. Rightio, let's carry on in this general direction, I think. With a little TR, it's a 3A, I think, judging by the outside door handles. The 3 and the 2 didn't have exterior handles. Yep, it's got a wide grille as well, which is correct for the 3A. Got MGA alongside. There's the back of the S-Type alongside the Daimler Coupe. Sunbeam. Another Stag looking a bit happier than the other one we saw. More Sunbeam action. The Lancia Beta Monte Carlo. Another Stag. This one blue with the factory hardtop. The really quite heavy steel factory hardtop. Let's keep going along here. Lambo. What's that, a Jalpa from 1985? Let's keep it going. Ford Escort Cosworth. Lotus Esprit Turbo. These fast forwards are always popular. We've got the Sierra Cosworth there. Capri 280, one of the last of the 2.8 Capris. Mini Cooper, a gaggle of Defenders of various shapes and forms. That one left-hand drive, the black car there. Got a DeLorean, got a Back to the Future action there. With the PRV V6 engine, mounted amidships and a stainless steel body. Saw one of these driving through town just the other day, which was quite the eye-catching car. These were built in Northern Ireland, the brainchild of John DeLorean, with some engineering by Lotus. Gull-wing doors as well. It's a pretty wild car. I think they probably look faster than they actually were. Estimate 50 to 60, this one from 1981. Yeah, brushed stainless steel bodywork. Pretty cool. Right. TR7 drop head, showing off its engine, which is a close relative to the bigger engined Dolomites. Ford Fiesta XR2 Mark 1. Neat looking car, Beetle. All sorts here. SD1. Bus bar just tucked away in the corner. The vintage bus bar. Right. So lots and lots of cars. We've got a cabrio version of the good old BMW Mini. Clubman Estate XJ Series 3 circa 1984. It's a left-hand drive car. California this one came out of. Estimate 9 to 12. There's a lot to be said for buying a car that's been imported from a dry state. It avoids a lot of the rot issues that you might otherwise encounter. And on these cars, especially around the bonded in screens front and rear, you always have to have a good close look in that area. Next to it we've got the slightly older Series 2. This is a Daimler 4-door. Let's keep going down here. Rolls-Royce Corniche. Really swish. Big old S-Class there, and slab-sided S-Class Fiesta. Got a Ford Orion with Manchester Garage's Ford dealer plate on it. RS 2000 Mark 5, I think. Was it 6? Escort, another Fiesta alongside. Ford P100 pickup. What year is this? 1984. 6 to 8 is the estimate, no reserve on that one. Looks to be in great condition. A little Wolseley 1660 alongside it, so that's got the 1622 B series engine under the bonnet, but this slightly more at market compared to the Morris and the Austins that were sold at the time. 1968, 6 to 8, there was estimate on that one. Prior to that there was the 1560, which had the 1500 B series engine, and the earlier car also had a slightly narrower rear track as well. Right, let's carry on. Triumphs. We've got an Austin, no, Morris Oxford over here. I was thinking Austin A60 momentarily. Another Wolseley 1660, Capri 2, Cortina Mark 3, Fiesta Super Sport just over there. Yeah, the Wolseley 1660 complete with the illuminating badge, which was a feature of Wolseley's right through to the end. Yeah, we've got Fiesta Super Sport, Granada Mark 2, Mark 1 there. Yeah, definitely Ford corner. Another P100 there. Lotus TVR Tuscan. There's that 66 Wolseley again. So a very close family relative to the Morris Oxford alongside, but here you can really see the similarities and indeed the differences. The backlights were different, the trim was different as well, so it must have cost BMC a fortune to produce all these very, very similar looking cars, but with loads of detailed differences. So the fact that they've got different backlights on the Wolseley version means the whole rear wing is a completely different pressing. It's just crazy, really. And this, the Morris Oxford, and that's a different back end compared to the Austin A60 Cambridge. This is the same, the filler, and obviously up here is all the same. Right. Let's carry on track for 2000 Mark II. So the Stag with hardtop. Right, which way shall we go now? Let's have a general amble around. So later modern classics. Got a BM8 series there. Daimler Series 3 on an H plate. That's a sharp looking car. So the Daimler version of the XJ Series 3. We've got an XJ40. We were looking at some of those a little bit earlier. Z there, 260Z, Ford Escort Mark 1 on a G registration, super clean 2-door car. GT badging on the front wings there. It's a super sharp looking car. I love the colour of that. Not dissimilar to our XJ, in fact. Right. There's the Rolls-Royce Corniche. Luxury motoring, left-hand drive in this case. Right, let's carry on. Let's see what else we can spot. Let's go over here, various Bentleys. A couple of RS turbos there. A Vauxhall VX220 alongside another example of the 8 Series Beamer. It could be an 840 with a V8, or it could be the 850 with the V12 engine. This, the 840 CI Sport from 1998, estimate 10 to 12. MG Hillman Hunter at the back there. Let's go and have a look at that. One of the Arrow series cars. This one looks like it's had a few mods. Maybe this will tell us. Hillman Hunter Super from 1971. Resto Mod Hunter 810. Cracking MG BGT in front of it. The Ford Cortina Mark II. Just tucked away here. Quite boxy lines. Certainly compared to the Mark 1 that came before. So which model is this? Automatic Cortina Super. And it is in super condition. Right. Let's carry on over this way. There's the Sunbeam, back of the yellow Stag. This the Sunbeam Tiger from early 1967. TR6. Those lights would later find their way onto the back of the TVR 3000M. Alpha alongside, one of the 105 series coupes. Mini Cooper. No shortage of classic minis here today. Popular as ever. Escort Mexico Mark 1. Let's have a look over here. Another Vauxhall VX220. Make that two more Vauxhall VX220s. The Daimler V8 250 from 67. Same engine as the SP250 Dart, which people always call them Darts, but they weren't really officially sold as that because Dodge in America had a word in Daimler's ear and said, "Oi, we've got the rights to the Dart name." This, the V8 250 or the 2.5 litre V8, they did change the name of these at some point during production, but everyone calls them V8 250s, so why argue with that? This one's got the auto box. Around 400 of these were built with the manual gearbox, which would make for a very entertaining drive, I think. 2.5 litre V8 engine, Edward Turner designed, and probably a fair bit lighter than the XK unit fitted to the similar looking Jaguar Mark II, so it'd be interesting to drive Daimler V8 250 and say the 2.4 litre Mark II Jag, just to see what the differences and similarities were. Right, big old Jensen here. What year is this Interceptor? On a 74, it's a Mark III, 38 to 45 the estimate. So a very bonny looking car. I think they've come down in price a little bit of late. Good ones are those. Used to be very strong money indeed. Left-hand drive 911 Targa, great colour, and a Ferrari 400i. What makes this one particularly nice is, unlike so many of these 400 series cars, this has got the manual gearbox in it, so front-engined V12 with the manual box. Surely it's the cheapest way of getting into a front-engined V12 Ferrari. Definitely I wouldn't say no to one of those. A couple of 911s over there. And, yeah, pretty neat to see these 220s. This is a VX 220 Turbo. Under 12,000 miles from new, 18 to 22. So this was a rival to the Lotus Elise in many, many ways. Right, let's keep it going. I think that's probably most of the auction cars. So I think now it is time to head over to the main hall that we haven't yet done. Still plenty more classic and vintage cars to come. There's a whole gaggle of Bond bugs over the way here. Let's check these out. Bond Bug 700 ES. Pretty wacky looking vehicles. Fiberglass bodied, tip forward roof to clamber in and out. Strictly a two-seater. No carrying extra passengers behind the driver in one of these. Still nice and easy to get at the engine. Some VW buggies over here of various different shapes and sizes. This incredible Rolls-Royce over here. Well, part of a Rolls-Royce. Certainly a fair old chunk of engine there. I imagine that would sound pretty spectacular. So what's that engine out of?
Gary, okay. UK TV stand. Right down in the corner.
Maserati open top scimitar here, the Scimitar Coupe. Despite appearances, these are fiberglass bodied, but it's been given this sort of silvery paint finish to give it the look of bare aluminium, which is actually very convincing. In fact, that really is a neat conversion. I wonder what the story is with this. SE4 GT Roadster. Pretty rare. Reliant never made a convertible SE4, so it was left to the Mark author and the founder of Simpart, Don Pither, to make one. So dragged out of a field. Really neat. The SE5 or the 5A Scimitar GTE there. The Reliant Owners Club, Rialto here from 1985. Just like the Bond, fiberglass bodied. Quite a stretch to get to the engine. Maybe you get at it from inside. Maybe not. Yeah. A little Fox alongside, not the VW Fox. But no, this is the Reliance Fox from 1983. Right, let's carry on past a little. Is this another Rialto? The Jubilee Rialto, no less. Kitten alongside, a four-wheeler. Right. Let's keep going. Ford Probe, just over the way here. Bit of work going on the Citroen AX. TR7 drophead just over the way. What do we have here? So this is the Marina Owners Club. That's alongside the ADO 16 Club. Lots of work going on on this little 1100 here. When I say 1100, it might be a 1300. There is the list of all the jobs planned for this one. Is that the little princess version? I think it probably is, with a full width wooden dash. Austin alongside it, showing off its transverse A-series engine. A Marina-based pickup, one of the early ones, with the early style front. Very rare thing now. An A+ engine tucked away under the bonnet. So 1975 Mark 1 10 hundredweights pickup. There we go. These did not survive in great numbers at all. Wonder how this one managed to survive. Certainly very handy. You certainly get a lot of clobber in the back of that. Not so much with a little Austin alongside. Quite plain inside, but lots and lots of space. Again, these were designed by Alec Isagonis, he of the original classic Mini and the post-war Morris Minors. He also was responsible for the big 1800 as well. I wonder if we'll see any of those here today. Yeah, and Ital getting a bit of TLC under the bonnet of. Quite an early Marina here, again with the tin front. This is a Marina Coupe. Proper barn find spec Marina Coupe. Yeah, pretty rare thing now. A two-door. But unlike most coupes, it still had the standard, I think, the standard size front door, which gave it a huge rear overhang, but actually quite a small door. Most coupes you see have longer doors just to balance things out a little bit. In that regard, I think it's probably the same as the Saab 99 combis, the hatchback early 99s. They seem to have fairly short doors on them but very long backs. No doubt many goodies hidden away in the boot there. And there's the Ital. The Ital came along, it's like a reskinned version of the Marina. Right, tucked away in the corner we've got the Sunbeam Alpine Club. Very nice. Is this the GT? I think this is the GT, which had the lift-off roof, but it didn't have a folding soft top, if I remember correctly. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But I've got a feeling this is the GT. This is the regular roadster or convertible version with the folding roof, as you can see there. Rightio. I see metros being worked upon. Got a fairly early MG Metro here with one of those aftermarket grills that incorporated a pair of front fog lights. This one about 1983 in date. Of course, there was the this was the MG Metro, and then there was the MG Metro Turbo for added excitement. This Alpine, wheels off. Perhaps having a brake job, something like that. This one from 1963, one of the finned cars, bigger fins compared to your later variants. Very distinctive rear end styling. Again, super colour. Is there a car that colour doesn't suit? I've yet to find one. More Metros, but these the 6R4 rally cars, designed with Group B rallying in mind, and a V6 engine in the tail, so somewhat different than your regular Metro shopping car, of which we had an example of many moons ago. That's pretty groovy. Right. So yeah, a much disassembled Metro over the way. This on one of these rotating things, so you can flip it over and make it a lot easier to weld the underside. Maxi, Austin Maxi. Like that 3 Austin Maxis. Oof. This one is this Harvest Gold. It looks very similar to the colour of Dad's MGB. Great to see these work in progress displays here. This is quite an early one actually with that grille. Wow. Certainly quite crusty. Amazing that it survived at all really, but you know. Hats off to everyone who's bought cars like this to display over the 3 days. It's a huge time commitment as well as effort to get these displays put together. We're going back somewhat further in time now. This is a 750 Club stand. This beautiful little car is the Austin 7 crankcase down there.
I'm an engineer. I recognise that. So what I'm doing
Many much modified Austin 7s. That little red one is a Bobby Dazzler. Note the similarity to that with the Austin Pathfinder pedal cars. There we go. 750 Motor Club. Right here, Fiat 126. Or is it a Polski Fiat? It's left-hand drive on an S registration. Not entirely sure, but I think this is one of the Polish-built 126s.
they're a bit crashy.
Right here, let's carry on along here. Something in many pieces. I'm not entirely sure. It's a Sirena 105L. Some beautifully retrimmed seats down here, presumably out of it. What a rarity that is. Never sold here in the UK. Quite stylish little cars actually these are, I think. The whole jumble of parts on the floor down there. Rightio, Mini Moke on a C-plate. Maestro based van. Golf Mark II. Another Maestro van, this one in the livery, or part livery of British Gas. The Maestro Montego Owners Club stand, this one. So there's a Maestro over the back there, and this, the Montego, a turbo diesel no less. Bit of work going on underneath this one. I wonder where this one's been sitting all these years. Certainly pretty mossy. Right, let's amble over here. A bit more Allegro, or rather Vanden Plas 1500 action over here on the Allegro Club International stand. Yep, so this is the VDP version, the posh upmarket car based on the Austin Allegro, but never called the Allegro in the dealerships or the sales brochures. These were always referred to as the Vanden Plas 1500. Super tidy condition. So what we've got here, the Humber Scepter, the early one with a curvy roof and the curvy back window. Good to see a bit of roots group action here today. We've had those Alpines already and the Hillman Hunter. Nice sticker there for blue coal antifreeze, and indeed the triplex safety windscreen. Yeah, I do much prefer the shape of these slightly earlier cars. The roof line just drops down a whole lot more, and you've got this big wraparound rear window as well. We sort of squared it off a little bit on the later cars. Looks like a Ford Crown Vic. Passat, Fiat Panda, big Volvo estate on the end of the row over that away, but I'll try and make sure I get to look around everywhere here today. Porsche 924 owners. More work going on the Leicester Classic Car Enthusiasts stand here. Mighty Volvo, the big V6 engine. Great old workhorses they are. Capri with spoiler alongside and a Mark 1 Focus. Porsche 924S. Bit of hood experimentation on this Sprite Mark 1, the original frog eye Sprite so called. Historically one of the most interesting stands that we tend to stumble across here at the NEC is the Frisky Club. They've always got something interesting on here. Look at this, a little Frisky Sport XDU 422, super duper original, slightly faded paint, but all the better for it. The original plate as well on the front. This partially disassembled one, you can see how the engine is installed behind the seats. Pretty basic motoring, but this was economy motoring, 1950s style, three-wheeler, so you could run them on a motorcycle license. I love this one. I remember the first time I saw this one, it was in pieces, and then the next year it was all together. What an incredible little machine that is. I love the hump behind the driver's head as well, a bit like a D-Type. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that just glorious little car? Gotta love these oddballs. I'm talking about the cars, not the owners, but I guess the owners, you probably have to be fairly eccentric to drive around in one of these, but who wouldn't? It really is cracking little cars. Bentley S1 or S2, next to a Renault Twingo, presumably left-hand drive because these Mark 1 Twingos were not sold here in the UK. Still lots of those in daily use in France. Got a little Datsun here as well. Pretty intriguing looking one-off here. Not entirely sure what we're looking at, but it has a Bentley badge on the front. This though is a Fraser Nash, super popular in the VSCC, the Vintage Sports Car Club, and most weekends of the year you will see, certainly during the summer, examples of these competing circuit races, a bit of sprinting or hill climbing or off-road trials. Super sporty little cars these are, very distinctive with a super narrow rear end on them. They don't have a differential, they're chain drive these are. And I think the floor's out of this one so we can see the final drive arrangement. So normally there would be chains on there providing direct drive to the back axle. Well, that is the back axle. What a beautiful little car that is. Much modified Datsun alongside. Wow. And there's the Maserati alongside. Right. Let's keep going. I'm not sure what this is. £189,000 though, and it could be yours. Former rally car Austin Allegro. Saw this one at the BL day down at Gaydon, I think last year. Yeah, bit of a very historic car if I remember right, but yeah, certainly going to need a bit of work now. Ford Capri being fettled just over the way here. Right, and we are back to three-wheelers, the Messerschmitt Owners Club. When I say three-wheelers, most of them, the KR200s, are three-wheelers I think. But there was the four-wheeler, wasn't there? Was it the Tiger? And this is the FMR, which was a license-built version of the Messerschmitt. Big side hinged canopy, not dissimilar to a World War II Messerschmitt. There are certainly similarities. Pretty cool looking things. Well, I love all the aluminium pieces around here. Very, very characterful little things. And alongside we've got the Heinkel. These were also built here in the UK as Trojans. Big front door to clamber in and out of this little gem. Right.
And they pulled out.
There is the Trojan, one of the license-built Heinkels. Look at this one alongside. Ooh, where's this one been sat all these years? Looks like it's had a minor nerf on the front panel there. Look. What an amazing find. A few little bits of added ventilation on the floor, but nothing too irksome, I wouldn't have thought. We're back to the Frisky. Behind the Bull Taco Scrambler, we've got this probably late 1940s, I would have thought, Buick, the Buick Roadmaster with the straight 8 engine, very distinctive portholes on the front wings or fenders. That was a Buick thing of the era. Left-hand drive. Let's have a quick peer inside. Wow, what a beautiful interior in these. So this has got a later incarnation of the straight 8 that made its debut in R31 Buick. Side hinge bonnet, hinged either side, so you could open it whichever way you wanted depending what you wanted to get at. Same with the early E-Series Vauxhalls. Yeah, the big straight 8 under the bonnet of that one. Right. Okay, we'll keep going. Smallest cog. I'm sure I've heard of that place somewhere. A Land Rover in many pieces. Right. MX-5s. That reminds me, I must dig out our MX-5. It's not been out for months. Right. A bit of cog merch just over the way here. Military Police Land Rover Series 1. E-Type fixed head coupe just over here, or at least the main bit of one. Right. Pretty snazzy paint job on this Morgan here. Okay, we carry on in this general direction. Like I say, I'll try and feature as much as possible. MGB GT V8 there, the Rover 3.5. We've got an Opel Monza, much disassembled. MGA race car, it would appear. 1950cc stage 2 engine, 5-speed gearbox as well in that one. Telescopic rear shocks, disc brakes, and the Weber 46 car. Very smart B Roadster there, and a very unsmart Austin Mini 7. This is a really early example of the Mark 1 Mini, but wow, this one is looking just a little bit crusty. You won't want to sneeze anywhere near this, but it is a very early Austin Mini. But certainly needs plenty. This is an April 61 850cc, one lady owner from new, locked away in the garage 35 years ago, recovered by Oselli last month, an all original. By gum. You'd need your tetanus jabs before doing anything on this, I think. It's pretty cool that it survives. Mr. Spider is upset that he has lost his home. Yeah, let's have a quick peering. Oh dear. You can just about see, you probably can't see it on the camera, but the little floor starter, which is a feature, the floor starter on the early minis. Oh, pretty delicate around the gutters. Austin 7. Of course, the early A30s were referred to as the Austin 7 as well, as a nod back to the original Austin 7s. Right, we carry on this general direction. The Jaguar XK here. This one looks to be a very well used example of the breed. Citroen Car Club, a DS here, a little Ami alongside. Bit of work going on in the vicinity of its little air-cooled engine. Yeah, super practical little cars these. This, the Ami 6, the brake, the estates version of the Ami 6. And there is the DS with the rear wing removed. So, really easy to take the rear wing off, and that allows you to take the rear wheel off. And here is just some of the pipe work involved with its very advanced suspension system. Rightio, and there some of the suspension spheres, and that's OHM, the green fluid that goes into the spheres, and the suspension on those. And Citroen Saxo alongside it. Classic Volvo time now. We've got an Amazon estate. This, the twin carbs, guessing a 122S. It's in lovely condition. This one is identical to a car we had a few years ago now. In fact, I owned it twice, but it's the same colour. Also a two-door 122S, LNB50G, I think it was. Yeah. Very similar engine to that fitted in the PV. Servo brakes on this one. Single Stromberg, so this will be a 121. Next to that, another car we've had, the Volvo 164, and in fact if you have been following the channel for a little while, you may well remember the videos I did of the 164E that we used to have. So basically a 6-cylinder version of the 140, slightly longer front to accommodate a 3-litre straight 6. As you can see here, this one, twin Stromberg carbs. Ours had the fuel injection on it as a 164E. P1800 and ES alongside it. Right. Good to see lots of these classic Volvos here today. How immaculate is that engine bay? It really is a cracker. Oh, wow. P1800 with wire wheels. Look at this. The PV. Wow. So this is the 544, which we had a pale blue one of these a few years ago. That was a great car, that was. Really, really good driving car. We also had a 444 with the split front and rear window a couple of years later. So this one was first registered in 1960. A very stylish car. The design very much inspired by that of, I think, the 1940s Fords in America. Hence this very streamlined shape. The fastback styling as well. Very, very American inspired design. And for many years these were sold alongside the Amazons. The Amazon came out in 56, but these were sold alongside as a slightly cheaper range. Yeah, certainly super stylish cars. They're all left-hand drive because they never sold these here new. So any PVs that you do see have been imported privately at some point in more recent times. And I like the tinted perspex sun visor as well. That's a neat little thing. Rightio, let's carry on down the row here and see what else we can find. Another little Escort over there. A TVR car club. We've got one of the S-Series cars here. Lots and lots of engine. The exhaust manifolding going forwards and then down and underneath.
Do you know where to get these from?
I think I do.
Sunbeam Talbot Owners Club. Just on the side here. There we go. I spy a little bit of pre-war car action now. We've got an Austin 10-4, 1932 to 1934. Austin 10-4, predecessor to the Austin 10 Litchfield. These slightly older with the chrome brands. They're only produced from 32 to 34. This is here on the Heritage Skills Academy stand, which is an organisation based down at Bicester, with the set up with the intention of encouraging new young blood into the world of classic and vintage car restoration. I used to have one of these at one time, a little 3-position drop head coupe. This, the 4-door saloon. Great little cars, a bit overlooked perhaps when compared to the Austin 7, but it's probably the more practical of the two. And here we've got a little Austin 7 based race car. This possibly a replica of the original Austin 7 Ulster, or EA Sports as they were officially known. Looks like the fan on this one has had a bit of a problem. Half of one of the blades is absent. A few little mods going on under the bonnet of that one. Very neat little car. This is the Quantum Owners Club. These are kit cars based on Ford mechanicals, and we've got the Audi Club. Various Quattros here. Let's just see what we can see. Pretty rare now. Audi 100. This one early 1970s. Very handsome looking car. Quite rare back in the day. Audis were certainly a lot less prevalent than they are nowadays. Good to see that one here today. One shiny Opel Manta, one somewhat less shiny Opel Manta. This one looks like it's been stored in a wood shop perhaps. Seems to be covered in wood dust if anything. Or maybe the desert. I remember a neighbour used to have one of these, like an orangey sort of colour it was, and I'd earn a bit of extra pocket money washing it for him every week. Vauxhall Victor Estate and Saloon, the Ventura, the blue saloon. So that was the top of the tree when it comes to this era of Vauxhall Victor. Different styling on the front compared to your regular FE Victors. This is an FE, I believe. Yeah, there we go. The all-new FE Victor. So similar to the FD, but a deeper grille that the bumper sort of cuts across. That was a thing on the FEs like we're looking at here. Well, that's the Ventura, which is the posh one. Right, okay. And we'll just go down here, circle around past the Maestro and Montego Club. Fords and tractor action there next to the Metro. Now we have the Leyland Princess. I don't think they were ever sold as Austins or Morrises. Princess was always just badged up as the Leyland. This, I think, is one of the slightly more upmarket ones with these jazzy wheel trims on, if I remember right, and the trapezoidal headlights. This is quite a late one, actually.
Both for them.
Yeah, this one survived in incredible condition, really. Look at this, the Wolseley badged version. That is a proper rarity. The last outing for the Wolseley badge was on the big wedge that you can see here. They didn't make many of these at all. It is certainly a rare beast indeed. Based, I think, on the 1822. I think we've got another Leyland Princess here. Part dismantled. This an 1800 base model, so the entry-level spec car. Bit of history here. Built at Cowley, 23rd of March, 1976. There we go. Yep, so lots going on here on the Leyland Princess Enthusiasts Club. That's good to see. Rightio, let's carry on. See what we can spot over here. We've got a bit of Eastern Bloc action now. A much dismantled Wartburg. Very dismantled, showing the unusual shape of chassis. I've never seen a chassis of one of these before. It's just like a giant horseshoe. That's pretty cool to see. Radiator mounted behind the engine. Little 3-cylinder unit there. 1975 Wartburg Knight Mark IV. There we go. And here is one looking somewhat more complete, a fair bit later. This is the Wartburg 1.3. Pretty cool. There's a gentleman who lives not all that far from us. He's got a collection of Eastern Bloc cars, which I hope to feature on the channel one day. Fingers crossed it will actually happen, but for now we'll just have to wait and see. Polo here, Fiat Panda, a very rare little Fiat 850 alongside it. You don't see these very often at all. Wow, what a swish little car that is. A little 2-door, 4-seat coupe, left-hand drive. Isn't that lovely? The 850 Special. It's got a 67 registration date on it. Yeah, very sleek looking car. I do like that. And note how all the joins are all leaded over, where the wings were the separate wing and the scuttle all blended in. It's a nice little detail. We've got a period brochure in the window as well for the Vignali bodied Fiat 850 Coupe. Same, all leaded in joins over the back here as well, so that's always a sign that you're looking at a quality bit of coachwork. And there is the badge for Vignali just down the side there on the back wing. Very stylish little car. Right here. So what's that? Ginetta. A little comma van. A little comma imp. Of course, the previous little commas were the Cobbs, but these, the imp base vans, were still called the imp. But like all the imps, engine under the rear, which gave it quite a high load floor, which probably wasn't all that practical, to be honest. Yeah, very neat. Similar shape to the Husky. Yeah, we got a little Ginetta, which was also imp engined. And here we go. Got an Imp Deluxe Mark II from 1966 alongside. Beautiful example in red. Interesting assortment of cars here on the Imp Club stand. A gaggle of Bedford HAs over here, Bedford HA vans. This modified one I think has been on the channel before, possibly here last year. But these two look a bit more standard, although this one's got some pretty wide steelies on it. Another here called Bluebell, for fairly obvious reasons. More Victor action there, there's an FD. keep her going over this away. Mark II Astras over the back there. Jaguar Mark II. MG ZT. That's the ZT 260, I think, isn't it? Yeah, with the Mustang engine. Yeah. Heavily re-engineered to accommodate Mustang rear-wheel drive running gear. Wowzers. What is this? A chain-driven behemoth. This could have started out as an old fire truck. The La France. What are these? Started. Oh, there we go. Started out as a fire truck, 1926. What an amazing thing! I mean, these headlights are bigger than the wheels on the early Mini. The size of those. So this one's been debodied and made into something of a speedster. I imagine this is really quite exciting. Magneto providing the sparkage. What an amazing machine. Dual chain drive to the back axle. There's a fuel tank up on the back there. Minimal controls. So this vehicle certainly had quite the history, starting out as a fire truck, then being converted into what we see here now. What a beast. Right, we shall carry on past the little VW. And it looks like we're entering VW Alley now. Beetles, Golf Mark II, Corrado's various. Morris Minor community. We've got a couple of examples of the Minor Million. We'll just snip round here. There we go. So 2 more Lilac Miners. This one looks to be super original. Most of them have been restored by now, the ones that survive, with the unique badging as well. Not the Morris Minor 1000, this, the Morris Minor Million. Still with the same running gear, but just these very distinctive colours and unique to the modern badges. Neat to see those two here. Right. It's the Quantum Club, Lotus XL. Which one's this one? I always get these mixed up. It's the Eclat. Right. I always get the Elite and the Eclat mixed up. Right. MG Owners Club now. We've got plenty of MGs along over there. There we go. MG Owners Club for MGs old and not so old. Alfa Romeo Club now. This the Giulietta, I think. These saloons, the Giulietta, I think. Let's have a quick look at the back. It's the Alfetta. There we go. Try and keep out of this gentleman's photograph there. A few little jobs to do on that one. We've got an Alfa stud behind it, the green one just over there. The big old Alfa, the Alfa 6. Is this the Alfa 6? It's got an Alfetta badge on it. Let's have a look. Two really, really rare Alfa saloons now. Right. Let's keep going this general direction. Bit of Fiat action over here. This is a 1993 Tempra. A Fiat bike on the top. Look at this glorious little Topolino. Wowzers. gem that is. Topolino or Little Mouse. Four seats just as well. Tiny little car, the fold back roof as well. Rear hinge doors. It's a dinky little engine hung out the front there as well. It's the 600. Bit of Matra action over here, including the Espas, Talbot and Simcas. Customised van from 1971. A rare survivor from the days of customising in the 1970s. Now, the little Simca rolled over on its side. These little vehicle rollers are very handy things, aren't they? Moses.
Yeah, so remember to double at least what you tell us.
Renault's Twingo there. A little Estafette van. Do quite like those. Very neat.
Never had one that goes into that.
Citroen Ami there, another one there, front body removed so you can see the air-cooled engine, very similar to that of the 2CV, inboard disc brakes, quite an early ripple bonnet 2CV alongside it, very original looking as well. What a little cracker that is. That is nice, I love the condition of that. Note how the pullback roof, the material extends all the way down over the boot space as well. Saab. Oof. Saab 96, one of the V4 powered cars here. A particularly vibrant shade of orange, oh so 1970s. Proper metal reflective plates on it. It's good to see. The 96L. Very compact little engine. What a belter. I have to have a closer look at this little car here. Is this a pedal car? Wow. Isn't that lovely? Cool. I'm a bit of a fan of pedal cars. Look at that, isn't it? A beauty. What a little gem that is. Oh, God, I love that. Citroen Diane joins two CVs, various. Stripped down de Chevaux here, its main body just over the back there. Lots to do here, but yeah, like a giant Meccano set. Some late-ish Saabs. Ford Cortina Mark IIIs, well represented here today. Lots of bits and bobs. Around the back here. 3-litre V6 under the bonnet of that one. Bit of Lancia action, the Tamer or Thema. This, the 8.32, so that's got a Ferrari engine tucked away. That was Lancia's interpretation of the Type 4 concept shared with Saab. He went on to produce the 9000. It was the Alpha 164 as well, and the Fiat Chroma. Lancia Beta. That's, despite the shape, that is a Lancia Beta saloon, most of which rotted away in very short time. That is a saloon because it's got an opening boot lid. The rear window is fixed. It's not a hatchback, despite the shape suggesting a bit of hatchback action, but no, that is the saloon. And that is a spectacularly rare car now. They had a terrible rot problem. I mean, 1970s cars were not great for rot at the best of times, but yeah, they really took it to a whole new level. Got an SEC, one of the 126 series big Mercs, the S-Class coupes. Now we've got the pride of ownership. Let's have a bit of a wander around here. You won't see any dust or rust around here. The Manta GTJ 3 litre. Wowzers. It's got quite the engine under the bonnet of that one. Immaculate MX-5 Mark 1. Incredible four-wheel drive Ford Transit. What an amazing thing. Cobra replica there. Escort RS 1600i. Oh, good old little Triumph. I'm assuming it's a Vitesse going off the polished aluminium. Well, it is a Herald. It's got the, like ours, it's got the metal bumper covers. Ours has been retrofitted with those originally fitted to a Vitesse. That's a 1960 Herald convertible. Silver Spirit alongside. Let's just have another look at this incredible Ford Transit over here. Oh, what a bonkers thing. This one is in the livery of a rally support vehicle. There's a sticker for the Turnhill Hall meeting on the windscreen. That's a place we get to on a fairly regular basis. And in fact, that's starting up in just a few weeks' time. What an incredible thing. Right. Escort Cabriolet. Let's keep going around here.
Well, yes.
Second DeLorean of the day, that one from 1981. Got a Range Rover P38 alongside. Super polished up stainless bodywork on the DeLorean DMC-12. It's another one of those little Mazda estates. Wowzers. Where have they all come from? Ford Capri. Wow. So we were looking right at the beginning of this video, we were looking at a couple of rusty Mazdas over in the barn find display. Hopefully this is how they will end up in just fantastic condition like this. Isn't that amazing?
Okay, I've tried to come back.
What else stands out? Little Datsun Z. Is this a 240 or a 260? I never know which is which. Either way, great looking car. Huge straight six tucked away under the bonnet of that one. Stunning car. Really are incredible to look at. We've got a Vauxhall Viva estate. One of the HB Viva estates. We used to go and stay at a caravan for our holidays in South Wales many moons ago, and the guy who owned the caravan, he had an assortment of HB Vivas. He'd run one until it broke, and then in a field just a couple of miles away from where he lived, he used to dump them. And I remember once going with him to go and get some bits off it. This was in the early 1980s. So we'll keep having a look around the pride of ownership area. Well, Toyota's at a Passio, yes, 1997 Toyota Paseo. Big old Vauxhall Senator there, good cars, very smooth. Police used to like those. Right, I think we will go in this general direction because I spy a bit of vintage Morgan action. There's a whole gather of Morgan three-wheelers here. This, the family model. Other versions like the Aero were designed very much with sort of competition in mind, but this was designed more with the family motorist in mind. Chain drive, three-wheelers.
I wish it was all laid back.
Bit of work going on with this one.
I like to talk to you like
Everywhere you look, cars being worked on, dismantled cars. This is one of the Ford Pop powered versions. So that's the little side valve Ford engine. I'm not sure if it's the 8 or the 10. It's been retrofitted with an alternator, this one. Twin SUs as well, and a tubular manifold. Very neat little car, that one. This one hasn't run since 1963. Will it go by the end of the show? Question mark. What an amazing, amazing garage find or barn find, Morgan. That looks super duper original, even down to the cast number plates. What an incredible little thing. Wow. Look at that. Aluminium bodywork. Cobb 875. Whoa. What a fantastic machine. You have to let me know in the comments if it did indeed start up by the end of the weekend. Glistening over here we have Armstrong Siddeley. Stunning quality British car here. The Armstrong Siddeley Owners Club. I'm hoping to do a feature with a gentleman who has a number of Armstrong Sidleys in his garage at home. Fingers crossed that'll come off before too long. Bit of work in progress on this super duper original car. Is this a 17 or a 15? I'm not sure. It's a 16, there we go. Slap bang in the middle. Appears to be minus an engine at the moment. Maybe you saw the video I did just a few months ago of a gentleman not all that far away from where we live. He's got a pre-war Packard and an Armstrong Siddeley 17 horse on his driveway, which he's nibbling away at the recommissioning of it. I'll have to chase him up, see how he's doing with that. So this one, paintwork looks super original. You can see where the hinges have been oiled, just to free them up a little bit. Yeah, lovely. Even the original down to the original cobwebs on the top of the steering column there. Pre-select the gearbox. Headlining's actually survived really, really nicely. Oh. Really cool to see that. A couple more here. Is this the Sapphire or the Star Sapphire? I'm not quite sure which. This is the Star Sapphire. So this is a slightly later car. Beautiful interiors. There's one of these regularly turns up to the car meetings that we get along to locally. And it is a joy just to take in the wonderful interior, all the wood inside and around the door frames. It's quite a jazzy two-tone colour scheme to the seating. It looks original. It's a wonderful quality bit of kit. That really is a gem. And talking of wonderful post-war British cars, we have the Riley RM Club. So let's have a quick quick look around here. So this is a 1.5 litre car. You can tell that because it's got the dark blue badge at the top of the radiator grille. If that was pale blue, it would be the 2.5. Or you could just look in the window and it says 1500 in the window. Looks like a very, very original car. Great looking car, that. Somewhat dismembered car, chassis number 6, the oldest surviving Riley RM known, registered 19th December 1945. Wow, hadn't realised they went back quite that far. There it is, found under a hedge. Wow, what a labour of love that is. Quite advanced steering rack, no steering box on these. So a good good driving car. Yes. Yeah. Really. Yeah. Interesting project for someone. Very, very early. Chassis number 6. And here we have a drop head version of the RMD. This has the pale blue badge. So we've got the big 2.5 version of the engine. The famous Riley engine there. This one manufactured 1950. Wowzers. Great to see so many cars being rescued and worked on. It's good to see the Standard Motor Club. It's good to see even that the Standard Motor Club has made an appearance at this one. Lovely 1920s car here. Very elaborate radiator mascot. And we've got a pre-war Tourer, a dropper coupe rather. This a 12 or flying 12. Flying Light 12 drop head coupe, no less. Super quality machine, very stylish. Just imagine pottering along to the pub of a Sunday afternoon with something as wonderful as that. I certainly could. Proper frame door glass as well. That's lovely. A bit more 2-gallon petrol can action there. Now I find myself drawn to this little blue car here. This the Standard 8. It's quite an early one with a sliding front and rear door glasses. A fair bit earlier than the one we had. We've had 8s and 10s on and off over the years. That copy of the original purchase invoice from Newbury Motors, Hales Owen near Birmingham, April 1955. It looks like a 1937 Ford 8 was chopped in against it, for which £85 was given. Yep, so slidey door windows. By the time ours came along, the Standard 8 that we had, that was 1956, so just a year later. But by then they'd already switched to wind-up windows, front and rear. No boot lid, of course, on these. Only the very, very late, I think, 8s and all the Standard 10s had the opening boot lids. Great little cars. I do like these a lot. It's very similar to the A30 and the A35, but arguably a bit more practical, much bigger bonnet. The engine access is a lot better on these. Rightio, let's keep going down here. Standard. There we go. An incredible phase. Is it 1A or a 2 estate? Either way, super duper rare and very practical vehicle, that. Isn't that just amazing? I remember in Newcastle under Lyme back in about 1990-91, there was one of these up on blocks outside the shop. It was there every time I went past. I often wonder what happened to it. It was identical to this, albeit not quite in such wonderful, wonderful condition as this one. But yeah, great to see a bit of classic Standard action here at the NEC. Which club is this? Not quite sure, but we've got Morris's, a little post office Z van there, complete with the ladders on the roof. A little Morris Minor, A little two-seat Tourer, this one 1934. Of course, it was here towards the end of last year I stumbled across our old 1932 Morris Minor two-seater, which was a bit of a surprise. This has got a lovely Duckham's NOL oil can under the bonnet. I do like that. SU carbs. Beautiful little car, 1934. We used to run a 1934 Minor saloon, going way back in time. Yeah, lovely to see that. Rightio, and alongside the Austin 10 Drivers Club, where we've got various Austins, not just 10s, on display. All sorts of lovely early Austins, including this magnificent Austin 20 Mayfair limo of 1936. Little Austin 7 Swallow here. I know of one of those tucked away in a building somewhere. I've not actually seen it in the metal as yet. It's a very barn fine spec Austin Ruby, down to 6% on battery number 2. Should be enough just to have a look at this incredibly weathered Austin 7. So this is a Mark 1 Ruby with the little opening rear side windows. The Mark 2 Rubies didn't feature that. They also had a slightly different angle to the windscreen pillars. They were slightly raked back a bit on the Mark 2s, but this is the Mark 1, the Austin 7 box saloon there. Sporty little number, bit of a special I think. There's a Chummy, 1920s Austin 7 Chummy. And behind the swallow-bodied saloon, Wolseley's, mustn't miss those out. Wolseley's various, but we have a little Swallow Tourer. This is the same model as the one that I know of vaguely tucked away in a building somewhere. I won't mind knowing what's happening to that. We've got another one alongside, and over here, just go around here, we've got the lesser spotted Lanchester LD10. This with the this is the Barker body. There are two different bodies offered on these. There was the Briggs 4-door saloon, and this, the coach-built Barker body. This one with timber framing, making these a lot more tricky to restore compared to the all-steel Briggs-bodied cars. So the Wolseley Hornet, that was the mini-base car in the 1960s, but pre-war there was a name given to the range of 6-cylinder sporty cars, and indeed the Wolseley Hornet 6-cylinder saloons. We've got these, the Wolseley Hornet Special, very popular in the vintage world, and rightly so. Beautiful looking cars. Again with a proud Wolseley badge just on the front there. That's a 1934 Hornet Special competition car. What a little belter that is, really is. A beautiful looking car. A lot of disassembly going on with the front end and the brakes on this particular car. All sorts of things going on. Bit of bangers and cash action over here. Lancia HPE. Right. Jensen Healy's. Now, I think I've missed out the Elvis Club. So let's just go back down here. Another beautiful Wolseley there. And fairly early Wolseley 1500. Good to see one of those here. I do like those. What is this? This Woody is based on an Elvis. I'm not entirely sure which Elvis it is based upon. I'm not sure it really matters. It's pretty spectacular. Look at that. Wow. What a super duper rare survivor that is. Must be pretty much unique, I would have thought. It'd be remiss of me not to come back over here because we've got a whole gaggle of Rileys So what's this? The Pathfinder, the 2.5 litre Pathfinder. It was one of these I featured on the channel just a week or two back in the I Wouldn't Say No files. That was a very original Riley Pathfinder, sometimes called the Ditch Finder. Yeah. And we've got the Riley 1.5. So this was basically the Riley grilled, slightly pepped up version of the Wolseley 1500. This, I think, is the 2.6, which was the sort of replacement for the Pathfinder. I think, yeah, Riley 2.6. Again, very handsome car. We've got one of the mini-based Riley Elves down there. It's good to see one of these in the metal after talking about that eBay find just a week or two back. I'm not sure the blue's in the original colour. It looks to be in lovely condition. Another Riley Elf here. Back to the standard motor club down there, so we can nip along here now. Past the Rover and the Defender V8. Elvis Daimler XJ40. Humber Scepter, bonnet raised. Back end up in the air. More work going on. Bit of action on the Triumph Dolly Club stand. Triumph Stags. Got the Triumph Roadsters over here. Beautifully turned out cars. Hello, madam. Just look at the quality of that dashboard. Just wonderful, wonderful things. These were sold alongside the Renowns in the sort of late 1940s onwards. Stags various over here, including one partially dismantled. Lots of brake jobs going on here today at the NEC. Crown Vics over there. These are the VWs. Are these the Trekkers or the Things?
No.
Let's have a quick look. Yeah, Volkswagen Trekker. So these are based on basically the Beetle platform. Air-cooled engine in the back. Right. Yeah. The New York Taxi and the NYPD Crown Vic over there facing the TR Drivers Club. Mitsubishi GTO enthusiasts are gathered here. Honda S2000, Sierra RS 500 Owners Club, and we now have the Ford Side Valve Owners Club. They're always here. This one, slightly modified version of the Pop 103E. This has got the Bellamy wheels on it, the slightly wider wheels. You used to see these fitted to specials, the Ford Pop-based specials quite often. There's also a few mods under the bonnet. Got the aquaplane inlet manifold, twin SU carbs, aluminium cylinder head. It's got the optional heater which set into the top. So basically that's like a little radiator set in to the top hose, and then the blast of air coming forwards as you drive along blows the air through the little radiator in this unit here, and via this trunking goes into the cabin to give you a bit of heat. This one's been fitted with a little vacuum unit. That's for the vacuum operated wipers. These were standard on the Prefect, but the Pops didn't usually have one of those fitted. Yeah, looks pretty purposeful on those wheels. You've got a standard Pop just alongside as well. These with the 1172cc 410 engine. So the Pop chassis there. Now what is this? This is a pre-war car. Might look like a Pop, but it isn't. Note, it doesn't have the hump at the back for the boot area. It's got the flat back, a bit like a Prefect, but this, I'm not sure if it's an 8 or a 10, I always forget. This is a 7W10. only built from 37 to 1938. And look at the lovely domed lenses on the headlights of these, and a very distinctive 3-bar grille as well, which was unique to the 7W. That is a seriously rare car. At first glance it might look like a pop, but it is anything but. It's very similar, but it ain't a pop. And these have wind-up rear, little side windows. The rear side windows, you can just see the window winder over there. So they've got wind-up side windows, which is something the pop never had. Right, what else have we got? Another 103E pop. This one looks like it's probably used for a bit of classic trialling, I would guess. The bonnet's up. Minivan backlights. Much stripped down Ford pop here. Or is it a pop? Or is it something earlier? Looking at that badge, I'm wondering if it's something just a little bit earlier. It's kind of hard to tell really. Yeah, it's an EO4A Anglia, built 39 to 1948. So this was a predecessor to the E494A Anglia that we used to have until just a couple of years ago. Yeah, nice to see quite the variety of pops and related vehicles here on the Style Valve Owners Club stand. Right, yeah, RS 500s, a very modified Mark II Escort van just here. And we're getting close to where they're doing the dream rides. Forward focusing, a bit of a service going on there. There's quite a few YouTubers here today. Granadas are plenty. A couple of really early Mark 1s here. This a coupe. Wow. 5 litre. Ford Pumas, including one, well, it looks like a Fiesta van that's had a Puma front end grafted onto it. So that's quite a slick machine. Got some Ford Probes just over the back there. Yeah, these Pumas, very neat looking cars indeed. Wonder where they all go. Yeah. Saab Owners Club of Great Britain. And these Saab Sonnet, early examples were 2-stroke powered, later ones V4s. Really cool little cars these are, all left-hand drive. Oh, great little sporty Saab 900 Turbo. This is fairly unusual. I wonder if this is one we saw at Bicester. Quite unusual because it's a 16 valve, but it's the 2-door saloon. Most of the 900 Turbos you see are the hatchbacks, either the 3 or the 5 doors. But this is the 2-door notchback version of the 16S. And that is quite unusual, it really is. We've got a 900 Cabriolet alongside that. The booted Saab 9000 just over the way. We've had a few Saabs ourselves over the years. We've got another Saab 93 here in black. Another beautiful example in black. Just look how stylish that interior is. There's a little 2-stroke engine hung out the front, cooling fan on the back, and the radiator there behind the engine. Very distinctive, very interesting little cars these are. Another example of the 93 alongside. Looks like this one's a bit of a rally car, judging by those bucket seats. Rightio. Now the Ford Corsair Club. There's always lots going on whenever you see this particular club stand. It's quite unusual seeing an estate version actually. You don't see too many of those around. Yeah. Again, the amount of effort that goes into all this is just off the scale. So let's just keep going around here. Chopping out the rust on this 4-door Ford Corsair. You can imagine how long it takes to set up these stands. I think cars are arriving on Wednesday. Today is Friday. The show continues until Sunday evening. and then you've got to pack it all up and take it home again over the next day or two. So a huge amount of time, energy, effort, and no doubt money goes into putting these displays on. It really is super impressive. Rightio. Okay, let's go back in this general direction. We've got another Corsair just over there. It's this one with a V6 in it. There's a period magazine article on it. Clive's Ford V6. Let's have a quick shufty inside. I'm being pointed to the interior of this two-door. Wowzers. By gum. Do they all do something? Who knows? I don't think I've ever seen quite so many warning lights in one place, or indeed gauges. What an assortment of gauges. Crikey, I've never seen that many gauges. I think last time I saw that many gauges I was looking at a photo of a de Havilland Comet. Yeah. Pretty chunky looking seats have been fitted to this one as well. They're not original, and the centre armrest, that was a kind of accessory that you could buy for your car back in the 1970s. I like the special V6 badging on the sill there. Yeah. What a unique car. Proper old mag alloy mini light wheels as well. That's really, really cool. Right here, let's carry on. Ford Consul Capri. And alongside the Consul Capri, which is the rakish coupe, we've got the four-door Consul Classic. So these are available with 2 or 4 doors, and the very raked rear screen, just like on the Anglia 105E. We've got another Capri on the end here. A bit of work to do on this one. And that's why this is the restoration show. And seeing all this sort of work in progress and all these barn fine cars, that's why of the 2 NEC shows, this is just about my favourite. Much dismantled Ford Corsair estate. I don't think this lot will be troubling too many magnets. Yeah, roses. This gives you an idea of what you take on if you buy a very, very rusty restoration project from the 60s. Very rare car now. Oh, good. And that's the back of that Corsair GT estate. One very, very rare car, that one. Right, let's keep her going this way. We've got one of the Heinz edition Crayford convertible versions of the Wolseley Hornet. We make that 2 of them actually. So these were offered as prizes by Heinz back in the 1960s. They built a limited number, or Crayford did, a limited number of convertible versions of the Wolseley Hornet. And we've got 2 of them here. There we go. 1966 Heinz convertible. One of 57 built by Crayford, never sold to the public. These were all offered as prizes in the competition. Little car kettle down there as well, and picnic set. Ford Transit Mark 1. Tickford versions of the Ford Capri. I remember a neighbour of ours had one of those, a white one, all over white, back in the 1980s. Ford Sierras. Bit of work going on, painting up the calipers on the back of the pickup there. Sierra over here. This is the XR8. Pretty rare machine, South African market car. Built to support homologation for local saloon car racing, 250 built in South Africa 1984. One of these turns up to the Combermere meets that we often get to. No engine in that one at the moment. Right, let's keep going in this general direction past the V6 Sierra, the XR 4x4. Sporting Bears are offering rides, raising money for various charities. So you can hand your money over and get to ride in one of the cars over here. This is a Plymouth Fury, I think. Doing good deeds, busy all weekend doing the dream rides and raising stacks of money in the process. So hats off for doing that. Right, got the Ford 100E club stand just tucked away over here. They say 4-door cars, that's a 107E if that dog leg is anything to go by. So this has got the overhead valve engine in it, whereas most 100Es have the side valve unit like the one at the back there. Bit of work going on this very original Prefect. So this has got the overhead valve engine, aquaplane, manifold and the twin SU carbs. Very original paint. BMW Mini Club pre-production chassis number 42. Wowzers. Of course, this was originally a Rover design. Before BMW took over Rover were well down the road of putting these into production. So what you're looking at is basically a Rover design. It's just one that BMW put into production and ran with it to great effect. It does make you wonder what the fortunes of Rover would have been like had they been able to put this into production themselves. So popular are these great little cars. Again, another very early example over here. Right, let's keep it going. See what else we can spot here today at the NEC. Somewhat non-standard road height on this little midget tucked away here. In fact, many non-original features on that one. Sebring Sprite. Driven by John Sprinzel and John Patton to a class win, 3rd overall, 1960 Rome-Liège Rally. It's amazing that this one has survived. I'm sure it won't be too long before that one's all back together. Very rare car now. This is one with a bit of period competition history. So this started out as a frog eye. Used on various rallies throughout the early 1960s. That's pretty neat to see. It's very nice, very unusual machine. And next to it, I think, is that an Arkley? I think this is an Arkley SS. There we go, the Arkley. So basically a midget. If you look at the middle bit, you can see MG midget with a very different tail. Very different front on it. This was a conversion that you could buy in the 1970s. A bit more Spridget action just over the way here. Let's keep going. Hillman Avenger Tiger. So the sporty, pepped up version of the Hillman Avenger. The A30 and A35 Owners Club. Ooh. Got a 4-door A30 here, and again a bit of period roof rack action going on, which I like that kind of thing. Something tells me the door might have been replaced. Very original green paintwork otherwise. Bolt-on front wings, which makes life a little bit easier, certainly compared to our A40, which has welded on front wings. So this is the 803. Presumably it's the original 803cc version of the engine. That would be stretched to 948 when the A35 came along. And look at this, a super rare 4-door A30, but not just any A30. This is the AS3 version of the Austin A30. You can tell it's one of the very early ones because it's got the separate little badge just on the front panel there, which the other A30 alongside does not have. There's other differences as well. The speedometer is different, and if we go around the back you'll see the fuel filler is in a slightly different position. So usually the fuel filler is on the back panel, as you see on this A35, but on the AS3 versions, the early A30s, the fuel filler is on the back wing, not on the rear panel. And if we have a peer inside, you should see the circular speedometer. Yeah, that's it. So pretty cool to see that. This, the A35, which has the 948 engine, which went on to be used in the early A40s like ours, running in Please Pass. Got a little van here with added windows and a rear seat conversion, which was a popular modification back in the day.
Sort of put them in bags with what they are, if you see what I mean.
The vans have the little flaps in the roof. The Genuine Countryman doesn't have the flap in the roof. Yeah, you could buy a kit from BMC to put your own seat back in the back of a van, and then many people cut out the windows and fitted their own windows, and there you go, you got your own little estate car. Mid-restoration, this particular A35 just here, two-door saloon, looks like we'll put some new window rubbers in. So four-door A35, that is very neat indeed. Some period bits and bobs on the roof as well, so that's good to see, but how original is that? It's very rare being the AS3 version. What a treat to see that one here today. In fact, all these cars. Looks like this one's been rigged up with a temporary fuel supply just to get it running. Really cool to see. Looks like a bit of telly stuff going on. Citroen Diane, very, very vibrant yellow example.
You are loving a car that stopped being made.
Various people speaking here on the stage throughout the weekend.
Excellent stuff.
Next to the Black Moggy Miner, we've got the Singer Gazelle. So this was the posh upmarket version of the Hillman Minx. A proud Singer name, a name that goes back right to the early days of car manufacture here in the UK. Nothing to do with the Singer sewing machine company either. This one looks really, really original indeed. Look at that, proper original, slightly speckly paint, a bit flat in places, but all the better for it, I think. Super original. You can't beat a bit of original paint.
Shortlist of 6, and Kieran's come out as the top winner. What's Kieran going to get? That's right, let's go. And you're also going to be able to come and visit the Practical Classics workshop at Saturday.
Jaguar Drivers Club have got a presence here today. Looks like a bit of a D-type project.
So you're talking about the lots of skills racing.
A replica of the famous D-type sports racer, and alongside it the predecessor, the C-type, or the XK120C, as technically it was called. There we go. The Jaguar Type C wide angle cylinder head fitted to these cars originally. Beautifully stylish cars these are. So many Le Mans and other sports car race successes in the early 1950s. Stunning, stunning looking cars. Some later XK action, the X100 series. What do we have here? 3.8S S-Type Jaguar, so I think it's the second, is it the second one of these we've seen here today? So yeah, much longer tail on these compared to the Mark II. And like I said before, the independent rear suspension on the back of these. Then these lasted for just a few years, sold alongside the Mark II, and then they put the sort of the bluffer, squarer front on it to create what became the Jaguar 420, and they put the bigger 4.2 version of the engine in as well. and there's the Daimler version, this Daimler Sovereign, and they soldiered on until 1968 when the Series 1 version of the XJ took over. So, yeah, certainly a bit of tin worm in evidence on this old S-Type. Hopefully one day it'll be restored, but at least it survives, that's the main thing. Looks like it's been stored somewhere fairly damp, looking at the mould on the windows. But yeah, it'd be nice to think that this one will live again one day. Right, more Austin action. This time we've got the Austin Counties Car Club. This car club caters for the post-war Austins, the slightly larger post-war Austins, so the county cars like your Herefords and your Somersets, Devon, etc. And also cars such as this, the Austin 16, which was introduced in the late 1940s. There we go, Austin 16. There was also a 12 which looked very, very similar to this. This one in pretty spectacular condition. Similar colour to the V8 Pilot that we used to have, and it was a contemporary of the Pilot, slightly smaller engine. This is the A40 Sports. So this car featured the chassis and most of the running gear of the Austin A40 Devon, later the Somerset, but with a two-door open-top body. The engine was the predecessor to the B Series, the 1200. This one shows the twin carbs or the standard fitment on the A40 Sports. The regular A40 saloons, they just had a little downdraft carb. Was it a Zenith, I think? But the Sports, they came with the twin SUs as standard, as you can see here. I've got a feeling the body was actually made by Jensen on behalf of the Austin Motor Company. Launched at the 1950 Motor Show. There we go. Yeah, don't see too many good ones of those around. Look at this, the A40 pickup. Had a couple of these many, many moons ago. I wish I still had one of them now. This one looks really, really original. It's been repainted at some point, but a long, long time ago. What an amazing survivor this is. There is that little 1200 engine. This looks like it's got a gold seal replacement. The gold seal was the fully factory reconditioned engine that you could buy direct from Austin's. Now, is this a floor change or is it a column? It's the floor change, and it's got the early front on it as well, the Mazak front, or the same front end as the A40 Devon and Dorset saloons. Later pickups and vans had the painted radiator grille, but I much prefer these early ones with the Mazak or chrome grills and the floor change. That's the perfect spec for me. Where's this one been hiding all this time? It looks like it's for sale. Yes, very, very tempting. Very, very cool indeed. Right, we're getting towards the end of the last haul. We'll just have a quick scoot down here. Discovery, one of the commercial discos without the rear side windows. And opposite that we have the Daimler Lanchester Owners Club with a gaggle of really beautiful Daimlers. Look at this, a 1937 Daimler E20 drophead coupe. Beautiful quality car. Just look at the fittings under there. Stunning, stunning car. So the drophead coupe there with the dicky seat in the back. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful car. Got a later open top model there. I think it's a DB18. The Series 3 XJ. Daimler form. Another SP250, this one, bit of work on its V8 engine. And here, the BSA. Dinky little 4-cylinder side valve engine. And over here, bit of Range Rover P38. And a classic over alongside it. Got a bit more Rover P4 going on here, but not P4 as you normally see. It's this one that's been converted into a pickup truck. Quite a neat conversion.
I mean, to a certain extent, you can argue that cost
based on the Rover 90. Wasn't expecting to see one of those here today. Very dusty XJS, one of several Jaguar's finest that are here today. Only the other evening we were looking at a Lister Le Mans version of the XJS, which was a pretty wild beast indeed. Let's keep going. Lovely old pre-war Rover here. So this is 1935 Rover 10. So the smallest engine that they offered in this particular era. I think this is also sometimes referred to as the P1 series. But I do really love this era of Rover. 1389 cc, 42 brake horsepower, top speed 47 miles per hour. So there's a specific history on this car, found in the back of a barn in 2007. What a little cracker that is. Lovely four-door saloon. Rover 25 there. And look at this, an open top version of the P6. What's going on there? DIY P6 convertible. Well, that's a job and a half. Very neat indeed. Well, it's 1 o'clock, so I think we'll go and have a sit down and grab a butty. I'll get my voice back. Let's see if we can find the seat over here somewhere. Well, I almost missed these ones out. The Allard Club. Assortment of Allards here, V8 powered, firm set up by Sidney Allard, quite a well-known name in the world of hill climbing and indeed a bit of circuit racing as well. And again, huge V8 tucked away under the bonnet of this long swooping sporting example. Dates to what, late 40s, possibly the early 1950s, something like that. A very racy example over here. Well, it will be just as soon as it gets an engine. Oh, I almost missed this one, the Wolseley Wasp. So this was sold alongside the Wolseley Hornet. So this Hornet was a 6-cylinder car. I'm guessing this was the 4-pot that was sold alongside it. It's a very, very original, super original car. Lovely smell of old leather in there as well. Yeah. 4 cylinders, 4 HT leads coming out the top of the distributor there. Yeah. So this is the Wolseley Wasp, built from 35 to 1936, overhead cam. Pretty rare car now. I love the old belt with the splittable links in it as well. Yeah, proper oily ragger this one. Original trim inside. It's just in perfect condition, I suspect. It's been converted to the later 7-inch headlights, but otherwise it looks pretty much as it rolled out the factory back in the mid 1930s. Somehow I almost missed this, the Austin Healey Club. And if you watch my lad's channel, Car Traction, you may well recognise this big Healey because he did a video all about this exact car just a couple of months or so ago. Walk around, chat to the owner, and lots of onboard footage of this exact car. And, well, it did sound like a real cracker. It really is a stunning car. This one turns up at some of the meetings that we do get to locally, and that is how Harley ended up introducing himself to the owner of it. But it is certainly a stunning car in long-term ownership. The gentleman that owns it now, I think his father bought it originally, so he's owned and known this car for a very long time indeed. Bit of trailer action here, a Honda motorcycle being towed by what I presume is an Austin Healey Sprite, as opposed to the very similar midget. It is indeed, with a winged badge on the front. It's a 1971 in Primrose, which I think is the name for this particular shade of yellow. Looks like it's certainly had quite the restoration in this little car. Here we have the Frog Eye, which I think we caught a glimpse of earlier on, but now with the bonnet fully raised, revealing the inline A-Series engine and twin carburettor setup that was standard fitment on the Mark I Sprites.
It's the same thing. I mean,
Well, I think all that's left to do now is have a bit of a mooch around the auto jumble area. Lots and lots to see, memorabilia, car parts, car tools, and many other things besides it. So I think this is probably the right time to start wrapping up this particular video. So thank you so much for watching my review of the 2026 Classic Car and Restoration Show here at the NEC in Birmingham. 2 more days of this still to come, so like I say, I take my hat off to everyone involved with the club displays and stands, manning their stands for the duration of the show. They're doing a great job. So thank you so much for watching. Please think about subbing if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. It doesn't cost anything. There'll be loads more videos along very soon. So bye for now.